collecting a, grocery tax and some of the other regressive ideas that have been put forward. This budget, cannot reflect the sins of the past.
Alderwoman Samantha Nugent wrote to her fellow council members, "We cannot be a partner to a budget that will push Chicago over a financial cliff and wreak havoc on taxpayers of today and tomorrow." And she said the city cannot afford, as she put it, a Johnson-imposed shutdown. So both sides, as we said, have until December 30th to try and hammer out a deal. We understand Mayor Johnson will be speaking to reporters a little later this morning. We'll see if they have any ideas for moving forward. Back to you in the studio.
Wow. Okay, Roseanne, thank you for the update there. The federal government, meantime, threatening to pull funding from the CTA if it doesn't do more to prevent violence. The Federal Transit Administrator sent a letter to the governor and to Mayor Johnson, and that letter demands the agency come up with a plan to cut the number of assaults on workers and passengers. The directive follows a recent attack on a CTA Blue Line train where a repeat criminal set a woman on fire. That made national headlines. And the CTA will have to act quickly here. The FTA says it must have the safety plan ready for review by December 15th and then implement that plan by the 19th of December, so just 4 days later. CTA says it has the directive and will respond within the requested timeline.
There are now some concerns that immigration enforcement activity will keep worshipers from celebrating the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The largest gathering of its kind here in the U.S. is held right here in Des Plaines. Celebrations are planned for Thursday and Friday. Typically, hundreds of thousands of people take part in the festivities over the course of several days. Although Operation Midway Blitz has largely fallen quiet, there are still federal agents in the city and the suburbs. Worshipers talked about what makes each year so special to them.
It's a feeling it's unbelievable. I can go to church, which is good, but when I come over here, it's so strong. I went to visit my wife, of course, she's over in the cemetery next to us, right? I got to remember everybody that's up in heaven today, so it's a special day for me.
No politics, no cold weather, nothing's going to stop us from coming to see her and thanking her for all her good deeds.
All of the shrine's masses and festivities will be live streamed so that those who are not comfortable attending in person or can't make it will still be able to take part.
Video shows the moment a train collided with the car in Hinsdale. There it is right there. That happened yesterday morning. The car was stopped on the Monroe Street tracks. Gates went down. Then the train hits the front of the car, pushing it onto the grass. Police say the driver has very minor injuries. The crash did disable the train, slowed down the BNSF line through the afternoon.
Aurora police are asking for your help finding a suspect in a shooting. The department released these photos. Police say it happened just before 4 Monday morning at the mobile gas station on Broadway. A 49-year-old man was pumping gas when police said that the suspect walked up and shot him. The man was hit several times and hospitalized in stable condition. The police chief is calling this a brazen and unprovoked act of violence. Anyone with any information is asked to please call Aurora Police. An Indiana State Senate committee is going to be advancing redistricting legislation. It now heads to the full Senate for a floor vote later this week. This is the plan that is backed by President Trump and designed to net the Republicans 2 additional seats in next year's midterm elections. They've already got 7 of 9. This would make it 9 of 9 for Republicans in Indiana. The state House passed this measure last week. Well, today, Metro will hold its 14th annual Toys for Tots drive. Metro teams up with the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve to collect toys at all downtown Metro stations. Marines and Metro employees will collect new unwrapped toys as well as cash. Will all be held during the morning rush this morning between 6 and 9. All right, it is 6:08 right now, and it's time to check back in with Caitlin Cody. I see we are in the 20s. Okay, are we going to get any warmer as the day moves on?
The 30s are back today. Yeah, so temperatures this morning, you're going to feel the difference. Unfortunately, though, we have the potential for some wet weather later on today that could interrupt your evening commute. So let's get into it. First of all, this morning, it's quiet, but it is 26 degrees at O'Hare, 25 at the lakefront, 19 in DeKalb, 24 in Morris. Temperatures in northwest Indiana in the upper 20s currently. We had some snow overnight, so don't be surprised if you see a dusting out there. The wind chill, feel like temperature in the single digits. For our western counties, it's 9, 7 in DeKalb, but it is 15 at the lakefront and O'Hare, 17 in Gary. So, of course, you got to dress warm, layer it up again this morning. Looking at our future cast this afternoon, as temperatures climb to about freezing, we have quiet conditions all the way through. You can see lunchtime, 1, 2 o'clock. Then after that, we have some wet weather moving in. And this is when it could get a little bit disruptive because 3:45 and temperatures are hovering around freezing, if not just below freezing. And if this is the case, we could see some freezing rain out there, especially north of the city. So this is a couple hours that we could have that potentially icy conditions before rain showers take over Chicagoland. Temperatures pushing back to the mid-30s. And then tonight, quieter conditions. We're going to have gustier winds, though, and then tomorrow morning, the chance for snowfall for your morning commute. We'll take a look at your full forecast ahead. Back to you.
This morning, we're learning more about what officers found when they searched Luigi Mangione during his arrest. A man is facing several charges, including attempted murder after a shooting involving Chicago police.
It happened Sunday morning near 114th and South Dayville in the Morgan Park neighborhood. An officer was shot in a protective vest, and an 18-year-old was also shot when police tried to break up an altercation there. 35-year-old Darren Brewster is now facing multiple felony charges.
The federal government is threatening to pull funds from the CTA if it doesn't do more to prevent violence. The Federal Transit Administrator sent a letter to the governor and Chicago's mayor. It demands that the agency come up with a plan to cut the number of assaults on workers and passengers. The agency now has until next Monday to send their plan to the feds.
The Skokie Fire Department responded to a fire at an apartment building overnight. Crews could be seen focusing on one unit in that building. It's located on Bronx Place. No word yet on any injuries or what caused that fire.
Luigi Mangione is back in court this morning with the pre-trial hearing to determine what jurors will and will not see when he starts trial. The evidence being shown centers around Mangione's arrest at a Pennsylvania McDonald's days after the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City. The court showed photos of items Mangione had in his backpack, like clothes, USB drives, and a bus ticket to Pittsburgh. Police also found a loaded handgun in the backpack. Mangione faces 9 state charges, including second-degree murder, and could even face the death penalty in a separate federal case.
Alina Habba is resigning as acting U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey. An appeals court had found that she was serving in her position unlawfully. Habba is a former attorney for President Trump, an advocate for him as well on the campaign trail. She will remain serving as senior advisor to the Attorney General for U.S. attorneys. A federal judge ruled that she was in that position, quote, without lawful authority back in August, and the DOJ has not appealed that decision. Also, the Supreme Court is expected to rule next summer on a case that could greatly expand presidential power over independent federal agencies. The big question in front of the court is whether President Trump can fire members of the FTC. During oral arguments yesterday, the conservative majority appeared to be siding with the administration on this, but liberal justices on the court warned if a 90-year-old law is overturned, a president could fire all experts and replace them with loyalists.
All right, time is now 6:15 this morning. Checking back in with Caitlin. Another cold start this morning.
Winter continues on for us. Yes. Temperatures are in the teens and 20s out there, feeling like we could even be in the teens when our actual temperature is 26 degrees at O'Hare. Western areas, you feel like the single digits again this morning. We do have clouds in place and a chance for some precipitation later on today, including some slick spots for your evening commute. So let's get into it. Right now it's quiet. 19 in DeKalb, as mentioned. That's where it feels like the single digits, as well as locations like McHenry County and Woodstock. 25 at the lakefront, 28 in Gary, 26 in Chicago Heights and in Kankakee. These temperatures are going to be climbing into the 30s today, which is great, but unfortunate timing because we're going to be right around freezing all the way through when that precipitation starts this evening. So let's take a look at our highs, expecting to reach the upper 30s. Normal high is 39 degrees. Tomorrow, back to the mid and upper 30s. That's going to be in the morning before colder air rushes in behind a cold front tomorrow early. So here's your futurecast. This is what you want to see. Temperatures again hovering in the low 30s this afternoon as this wet weather starts. 3 to 4 p.m. We are seeing the potential for a little bit of slick icing happening, especially north of Chicago this evening for a few hours before temperatures are in that upper 30-degree range, and we all have scattered rain. Then we get into Wednesday morning with the chance for some snow. We could drop visibilities to start off your Wednesday, and gusty winds will be here around 40 miles per hour. It is 6:16. Checking in now with Gabby to see how your drive's going. Do we have any delays out there?
You know, Caitlin, we have a couple incidents that are popping up, especially on the Eisenhower. Let's see if Skyfox is over there. No, they're near O'Hare. They're going to be headed down to the Strangler, as we call it, where 290 and 294 meet. But let's take a look at what's happening just on the map to see what kind of backups we're seeing on the westbound side. So two separate crashes on the outbound side of the Eisenhower. One is near St. Charles Road, the other one near Lake Street. The Lake Street one is still blocking a left lane. The one closer to St. Charles Road should be over on the shoulder, at least almost clear, but still some residual delay. Add an extra 15 minutes to your outbound trip back to 390. Your drive times are looking okay, around 35 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, 40 minutes right now on the Eisenhower and on the Stevenson, 30 minutes on the Dan Ryan. Remember, a Metro Electric District, as I mentioned, some outbound trains are not operating past Van Buren. It's due to mechanical issues going on, so make sure you check your Metro app. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Gabby, thank you very much. President Trump is defending his tariffs this morning as he prepares to talk about the economy in Pennsylvania.
As Doug Lozada reports from Washington this morning, it is part of a new domestic policy push from the White House.
American soybeans are still flowing, but often overseas they're not selling because of tariff retaliation from big customers like China.
$12 billion is a lot of money, Merrill. What do you think?
President Trump yesterday hosting a roundtable including farmers, promising a massive new aid package for agriculture, part of a renewed focus on the economy and higher prices.
$12 billion may go a long way in helping assuage some of the concerns, but there is a need for a longer-term strategy and a worry about the tariffs and the impact economically they're going to have in the long haul.
The president early this morning defending those tariffs in the long haul, posting on Truth Social, because of tariffs easily and quickly applied, our national security has been greatly enhanced and we've become the financially strongest country by far anywhere in the world. Only dark and sinister forces would want to see that end.
End inflation, slash your prices.
It's a message he's expected to take to Pennsylvania later today, talking about the economy in a key swing state. The governor there already panning his appearance.
If he comes to Pennsylvania and spews more BS like he did today at the White House, I think what you're ultimately going to find are people tuning him out.
Look for the president, though, to blame Democrats for high prices.
The Democrats caused the affordability problem, and we're the ones that are fixing it.
Our Doug Luzader joins us live from Washington this morning. So, Doug, what is the Trump administration hoping to accomplish with this visit to Pennsylvania? Is this about inflation and affordability, or is this more about rallying support ahead of next year's midterms?
Well, the president is, I think we'll probably see him tie all of these things together in terms of dealing with higher prices, the tariff strategy that he's employed. We will probably hear him once again weighing in on the potential for the Supreme Court to declare that his tariff approach is unconstitutional and the potential impact that could have. You know, the economy is quickly becoming the number one issue looking ahead to next year's elections. It played a role in last month's off-year elections as well.
Doug, can you give us any insight into his relationship, Trump's relationship with the farmers here in America? Is this $12 billion aid package, is that enough to appease them in the short term here?
Well, it is a short-term deal. I mean, this isn't, you know, in perpetuity. This is kind of a one-off sort of a relief, and he is hoping that ultimately China, for instance, will resume their purchases of soybeans. You know, the president thinks he's enjoyed a lot of support from farmers. They do play a critical role in the economy. There are a lot of them out there. And by the way, the #1 soybean producing state, Illinois.
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 Yeah, they're not getting bought by the Chinese right
Definitely
now.
not.
Doug,
All
thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, 6:20 coming up. Why workers at the Louvre in Paris are now planning to walk off the job. They've had their problems, haven't they?
know this.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. 6:23 on your Tuesday morning. There is a view of the skyline. We are in for some freezing rain a little bit later today, says Caitlin, as we're off to another cold start. Things will warm up into the 30s, thankfully. We'll check back in with her in just a moment.
A growing number of parents are opting out of giving their newborn infants vitamin K shots. It's a trend researchers say, though, could have some deadly consequences. Vitamin K has long been considered crucial for preventing bleeding and ensuring strong bones. But a new study shows that since 2017, the amount of infants not receiving the shots has increased by 77%. The CDC says the newborns who do not receive the shot are 81 times more likely to develop severe bleeding.
Workers at the Louvre in Paris, they're launching rolling strikes next week. They are protesting what they describe as deteriorating working conditions. They're also protesting a ticket price hike for non-European visitors and security failures exposed by October's $102 million crown jewelry heist. Unions claim the museum is in crisis, citing staffing shortages and galleries forced to close over water leaks.
Well, we now know the full extent of some of the injuries suffered by Miss Jamaica when she fell off the stage during the Miss Universe pageant. Dr. Gabrielle Henry suffered a brain bleed and fractal and facial cuts. She remains in the intensive care unit under constant neurological monitoring and 24-hour supervision. Henry, though, is expected to be transferred to a hospital in Jamaica for continued treatment. We hope that she can get well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jimmy Kimmel will be staying on as host of Jimmy Kimmel Live, at least for another year here. ABC has extended the late night host through May of 2027. This all comes after that rocky period where he faced suspension in September over controversial remarks about the death of Charlie Kirk. President Trump has also been very critical of Kimmel, calling for ABC to cancel his show on multiple occasions.
Well, quarterback help could be on the way for the Indianapolis Colts, and this one is a blast from the past. According to the NFL Network, Phillip Rivers is planning a visit to Indy today for a workout. The potential future Hall of Famer is exploring an NFL return after retiring back in 2020. Colts quarterback Daniel Jones suffered a season-ending Achilles injury on Sunday.
A 90-year-old neurosurgeon is finally getting his college degree. Say hello to David Kelly, everybody. He started at UNC in 1953, but left for med school before finishing his undergrad.
Things were different back then, I guess.
I guess so. I thought you needed an undergrad degree
to get to medical. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, UNC has confirmed that he has now met the 1955 requirements for a bachelor's degree in chemistry, so he walked in the winter commencement ceremony last week, officially joining the class of 1955.
What a story for him.
Yeah, 1955. That's Marty McFly and Doc Brown. That's the year they went back to. So they could have seen that guy graduate the first time around. Congratulations to Mr. David Kelly.
I wish we could fast forward to some warmer temperatures.
Yeah, Caitlin.
I'm with you. I am with you. Yes. Well, this morning we're a little bit warmer. Some of us 20 degrees warmer than you were yesterday at this time. But it is still going to be a chilly one, and we have the potential for some freezing rain this evening, especially north of Chicago, before the cold air blasts in as we wrap up the week, and especially this weekend. A full check of your forecast is coming up.
All right, it's 6:29 here Tuesday morning. We appreciate you tuning in here to Good Day Chicago during our 6 o'clock hour.
Here's a look at some of the top stories we're following for you this morning. A new warning from the Federal Transit Administration. They're threatening to pull funding amid a stretch of violent crime on public transportation.
A man is facing charges now after a Chicago police officer was shot over the weekend.
And Metro is holding its annual Toys for Tots drive this morning. We'll tell you how you can donate.
All right, before we get to those stories, let's check in with Caitlin for a look at how Tuesday is going to be. It looks a little wet around the bean there.
We had some snow overnight. Yes, we did. Temperatures this morning, they're warmer than we were yesterday, but it's still going to be a chilly start. So don't get me wrong. But by this afternoon, we are going to be in the 30s, which will assist in melting along with rain showers. We were just talking in the studio about how we could use some help with the snow and the ice that's already on the ground. 24-hour temperature change. I mentioned how we are quite a bit warmer for some, especially southwestern areas like in Kankakee. You are 20 degrees warmer than you were yesterday at this time. 22-degree jump at LaSalle, 9 degrees warmer at the lakefront, 10 degrees warmer from O'Hare to Aurora. Temperatures, though, are going to feel like we could be in the teens this morning in Chicago. Actual temperatures are in the upper 20s. Western areas like DeKalb and Woodstock, you're going to feel like the single digits this morning. Over the next 12 hours, temperatures climbing to the 30s as mentioned. By this evening, the upper 30s will be here, but we are going to be in the low 30s through most of the day. We had that chance for precipitation returning this afternoon. I'll time that out along with that weekend weather, which is going to be very cold. All those details are ahead. First, though, 6:31, checking in on Gabby to see how your commute's going. Gabs?
Hey, Caitlin, we typically started off with looking at where Skyfox is, but they just had to land because of some turbulence, high winds that are starting up in the sky, so we want them to stay safe. But let's take a look at our drive times. If you are headed into the city, around 35 minutes on the Kennedy right now from O'Hare to downtown. Most of your traffic is before the junction for your inbound trip. 35 minutes on the Eisenhower from Route 390 to the old post office. Close to 40 minutes on the Stevenson, 30 minutes on the Dan Ryan. Back over to the Eisenhower on the outbound side where we're seeing some of that traffic because of two earlier accidents. One was closer to St. Charles Road, the other next to Lake Street. Lake Street was the one that's still kind of getting cleared. It was blocking a left lane, should be over on the left shoulder, hopefully getting to a crash investigation site there though. So you are seeing traffic starting before 294 all the way to around Lake Street right now. I'll give you an update on Metro Electric here coming up. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Gabby. The federal government is threatening to pull funding from the CTA if the CTA doesn't do more to prevent violence. The Federal Transit Administrator sent a letter to the governor and the mayor. This letter demands that the agency come up with a plan to cut the number of assaults on workers and passengers. The directive follows that recent attack on a CTA Blue Line train where a repeat criminal set a woman on fire. And the CTA will have to act quickly here. The FTA says it must have the safety plan ready for review by December 15th and then implement that plan by December 19th. The CTA says it has the directive and will respond within the requested timeline. New this morning, a man is facing several different charges, including attempted murder after a shooting involving Chicago police. This one happened Sunday morning right near 114th and South Dayville. That is in the Morgan Park neighborhood where police were trying to break up an argument. Someone's gun went off. The officer was hit. Fortunately, he was wearing a protective vest. The bullet hit the vest. An 18-year-old bystander was also hit. A second officer wound up returning fire. And now 35-year-old Darren Brewster is facing multiple felony charges.
Also new this morning, the Skokie Fire Department responds to a fire at an apartment building overnight. Crews could be seen looking in an apartment. That building is located on Bronx Place. Well, the witness says that the fire started in an apartment on the 3rd floor and that the residents were frantic.
I started hearing people running within the hallways of my building, people knocking, banging on doors, screaming.
We're still working to learn about any injuries or how that fire started.
A budget impasse in Chicago may have the city headed for our own local government shutdown.
Roseanne is live this morning on the standoff now between the mayor and the 26 alders. Roseanne?
Oh, Brian and Anthony, they're arguing over how to close a $1.1 billion budget deficit. And if they don't come up with a plan by the end of the year, city services could be put on hold, although that's never happened before. Mayor Johnson does continue to push for that corporate head tax. It's something that he says would primarily affect millionaires and billionaires. But those 26 alders call the head tax a job killer, and they've offered up doubling the garbage collection fee and some other ideas. But the mayor argues that would hit working Chicagoans the hardest. Jack Lavin is with the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce.
Had a real alternative budget proposed by these alders, and he pretty much shot everything down. And he talks about working people, but you can't have working people without jobs. And he's got over $500 million of taxes that he wants to hit the business community with the head tax and the cloud tax, or personal property lease transaction tax. And that's a lot for the business community to take.
So they've got 3 more weeks to try to hammer out some kind of a deal. December 30th, that deadline. We are told, though, that should the government shut down in the city, vital services would continue. Outside City Hall this morning, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32, Chicago.
Roseanne, thank you. Some video here shows the moment that a train collided with a car. This was in Hinsdale. Happened yesterday morning. That car was stopped on the Monroe Street tracks when the gates dropped. Then, as you can see right there, the front of the train pushes that front of that car into the grass there. Fortunately, it wasn't all the way on the tracks, just the front nose of the car. So the driver has very minor injuries, we are told. And that crash did disable the train, though. It slowed train traffic on the BNSF line through the afternoon.
Aurora police are asking for your help finding a suspect in a shooting. The department released these photos. Police say this happened just before 4 yesterday morning at the mobile gas station on Broadway. 49-year-old man was pumping gas when police said that the suspect walked up and shot him. The man was hit several times and was hospitalized in stable condition. The police chief is calling this a brazen and unprovoked act of violence. Anyone with information is asked to please call Aurora Police.
An Indiana State Senate committee is advancing redistricting legislation. This will now head to the full Senate for a floor vote later this week. This is the plan backed by President Trump. It is designed to net the Republicans 2 more seats in next year's midterm elections. The state House passed this redistricting plan last week.
Well, today, Metro will hold its 14th annual Toys for Tots drive. This is where Metro teams up with the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve to collect toys at all downtown Metro stations. Marines and Metro employees will collect new unwrapped toys as well as taking cash. This will all be held during the morning rush. It started this morning at 6. You still have until 9 a.m. this morning to donate.
The Bears will start prepping for their next game after that heartbreaking loss to the Packers. They will return home to host the Browns on Sunday. Sunday's game against the Packers is a tale of 2 halves. They really did find a great rhythm in the second half. They scored on 3 straight drives. They erased an 11-point deficit. Now, despite that loss at the end of the Packers, ESPN's Mike Greeny believes that the Bears are trending in the right direction under Ben Johnson.
I think Caleb Williams and the entire Bears team, for that matter, are light years ahead of schedule. And I emerged feeling better about them than I did before the game began. I felt better about the Bears and their prognosis, both short-term and long, after losing that game than I felt before it started. The play at the very end, I think, is just a bad throw. That's a play that he probably should have made. I think Caleb Williams is on the verge of being an absolute superstar.
I appreciate the optimism from Greeny there. Sunday's game against Cleveland does kick off at noon, and you can see it right here on Fox 32, your home of the Bears. Guys, I had a moment this morning where I was like, well, I've done something right as a parent.
Okay.
Got my hands on Theo's Christmas list, and right above electric scooter, for the Bears to win the Super Bowl.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
Yeah, he put it on.
Hope you can make that happen.
He put that out there.
I love that.
That is cute, right? That's awesome.
Yes. Caitlin, what are we going to do weather-wise here? I understand we got some rain in our future.
We do have some wet weather, yes, and warmer temperatures. So that's where we're going to start, because this morning, yes, it's chilly. Temperatures feel like we could be in the teens. We're in the 20s. But by this afternoon, highs are going to be in the upper 30s, which is just a couple degrees off from where we should be for this time of year. Unfortunately, though, before we get to those upper 30s, this evening, when we have the chance for wet weather, we're going to be hovering around freezing. And with that, we could see some slick spots, especially north of the city this evening, and especially for your morning, or for your evening commute, I should say. Now, we do have changes happening, including a cold front that's going to be increasing our winds big time. Here are our wind gusts. For today, we're going to see those winds around 25 to 30 miles per hour. But tonight and tomorrow, especially early, notice those winds approaching 40 miles per hour. As that happens, we're still going to have that precipitation coming down, and tomorrow morning in the form of snow. so we could have some blowing snow. Drops in visibility is possible for your start of the day Wednesday. In the meantime, here's our futurecast for today. I mentioned that potential for wet weather happening later on. This is lunchtime, 12:45. We have the clouds. We have the southerly breeze. Temperatures will be right around freezing at that time. As we get to about 3 p.m. on, we have the chance for wet weather. And notice at 5, we have the chance for a little bit of freezing rain. So especially north of Chicago, north of I-88, you may run into some slick roads. The rest of us, this rain will assist in some melting around the area. We'll take a look at your full forecast, including that snow potential tomorrow morning and your 7-day outlook. Ahead, Anthony.
My gutters need that melting. Caitlin, thank you. 6:40, plenty more to get to here on Good Day Chicago. An NBA player issues his plea in federal court. This involves the whole sports betting case. We'll have an update there. Also, more parents are opting out of giving their kids vitamin K shots. Why researchers say that move could have severe consequences. And after a brief suspension, Jimmy Kimmel is now getting a contract extension. We'll have more on that coming up. Stay with us.
Stream.
Here we have Graham Park. It's another cold start to our Tuesday morning. It's going to warm up a little bit, then rain, then some of us may be getting a little freezing rain later as we move into the afternoon. So winter definitely continues today. We'll have another update from Caitlin shortly.
Luigi Mangione is back in the courtroom this week with the pretrial hearing to determine what jurors will and will not see when that trial starts. The evidence being shown centers around Mangione's arrest at a Pennsylvania McDonald's just days after the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City. The court showed photos of items Mangione had in his backpack, like clothes, USB drives, and a bus ticket to Pittsburgh. Police also found a loaded handgun in the backpack. Mangione faces 9 state charges, including second-degree murder, and could face the death penalty in a separate federal case.
Alina Habba will be resigning as the acting U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey, and this comes after an appeals court found she was serving in that role unlawfully. Habba is a former attorney for President Trump and an advocate for him along the campaign trail. Now, she will remain serving as senior advisor to the Attorney General for U.S. attorneys. A federal judge ruled that she was in the position, quote, without lawful authority back in August, and the DOJ has actually not appealed this decision. Meantime, the Supreme Court is expected to rule next summer on a case that could greatly expand presidential power over independent federal agencies. The big question is whether President Trump can fire members of the Federal Trade Commission. During oral arguments yesterday, the conservative majority appeared to be siding with the administration on this, but liberal justices warned if a 90-year-old law would be overturned, a president could fire all experts and replace them with loyalists.
A person of interest now in custody related to last month's shooting of New York Jets cornerback Chris Boyd. He was shot and seriously injured outside of a Manhattan restaurant. Police say that a 20-year-old man was apprehended in Buffalo in connection to this case. He's now being questioned and is expected to be brought back to New York City this week. Investigators are still looking into a motive. Miami Heat point guard Terry Rozier appeared in a Brooklyn federal court for his arraignment. The 31-year-old pleaded not guilty to charges that he helped gamblers place bets on his performance in games. More than 30 people have been arrested in the federal investigation of illegal gambling operations allegedly linked to professional sports.
Democrat Jasmine Crockett, she's going to be launching a campaign for the U.S. Senate out of the state of Texas. She's a two-term congresswoman, and she will face another rising star in the Democratic Party, James Tallarico. They're going to be facing one another in the primary there. While polls say it will be an uphill battle, Democrats believe that they do have a chance of flipping that seat that is right now held by Republican John Cornyn, who is running for re-election as well. President Trump is offering a bailout for struggling farmers. We will tell you how many billions of dollars are going to head their way right after this.
Saturday.
The man is facing several charges, including attempted murder after a shooting involving Chicago police.
This happened Sunday morning in the Morgan Park neighborhood. An officer was shot in the protective vest. An 18-year-old bystander was also shot. And this is all happening after police tried to break up an altercation. 35-year-old Darren Brewster is now facing multiple felony charges.
The federal government is threatening to pull funds from the CTA if it doesn't do more to prevent violence. The Federal Transit Administrator sent a letter to the governor and Chicago's mayor and demands that the agency come up with a plan to cut down on the number of assaults on workers and passengers.
The Skokie Fire Department responded to a fire in an apartment building overnight. Their crews can be seen focusing on one unit in that building. It's located on Bronx Place. We have no word yet this morning on any injuries or what started that fire.
Time is now 6:50 this morning. Live look outside. Sun hasn't come up yet, but it's going to be a little bit warmer compared to what we've seen the last couple of days.
Yeah, this morning you might even feel the difference, especially in southwestern areas where the temperature has jumped by about 20 degrees. Let's take a look, though, at our futurecast so we have enough time to get to that 7-day because I know you want to see it. First of all, this morning, temperatures are in the 20s. It feels like we could be in the teens, though. And we have some clouds, of course, but no precipitation as of right now. This afternoon is when the chance for rain is moving in, and unfortunate timing for your evening commute because we could have a little bit of freezing rain, especially north of Chicago. And you can see it here, 3:45, starting to see some wet weather move in with temperatures hovering around freezing north of the city. From Chicago Point south, it looks like we're going to be in the mid-30s at that point. But then as we work our way into the evening, that warmer air returns for all of us. And as we push above freezing by 7, most of us are going to be seeing some scattered rain with perhaps that freezing drizzle right along the Wisconsin border. As we get into tomorrow morning, we're not dealing with rain, but instead snow. And unfortunately, tonight and tomorrow early, we're going to have winds gusting to about 40 miles per hour. So as this snow is falling tomorrow morning, it's going to be blowing really hard, where we could see those drops in visibilities being an issue. So your drive this evening could be wet. Your drive tomorrow morning with some snow. Temperatures to start off the day, though, 6 a.m., and we're in the mid to upper 30s, so it's going to be a mild start. That cold front's moving through. That's why it's going to be so gusty. That's why we have the precipitation, and that means colder air is going to be filtering in behind it. So as we work our way through the afternoon, when we should be at our peak temperature, we're actually going to be dropping down into the 20s. And the temperatures stay down. So we are going to have that cooler air moving in tomorrow. 7-day forecast shows a high of only 24 on Thursday, Friday 27 with a chance for some snow around Thursday and Friday. And then this weekend, that's when the cold air really settles in with highs only around 13 both Saturday and Sunday. Monday 23 with mixed precipitation possible. 6:51, checking in now with Gabby as we work our way into rush hour. What are we looking at?
Hey, Caitlin. Luckily, the incidents are staying out of our system, although I'm seeing a slowdown on the eastbound side of I-88 before the tri-state, so keep that in mind. I'll take a closer look for the next 10 minutes at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. But I want to talk about some projects since we don't have a lot of incidents going on, just to give you some reminders. So remember that ramp closure is still in. One is in Chicago Ridge, bridge work impacting Harlem Avenue between 92nd Place and the tri-state, and that ends the end of December. And then over in LSIP, this one's funny. It says it ends sometime in 2026. So your guess is as good as mine. It's resurfacing work on Cicero Avenue between 123rd and 95th Street going on. Anthony, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Gabby. Appreciate it. President Trump is offering a $12 billion bailout package to help struggling farmers that have been affected by his tariff policies. He says farmers want a fair playing field, not aid, but the payments aim to help those hit by the president's trade disputes, especially soybean farmers. China, who is the largest buyer of U.S. soybeans in 2024, stopped buying from American farmers altogether because of its ongoing tariff battle with the White House. After an October meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, China started to purchase soybeans once again. At a White House roundtable, farmers expressed some gratitude for the financial lifeline.
In the next couple of weeks, every farmer that is able to apply for it will know exactly what that number looks like.
You brought Christmas to farmers. With this bridge payment, we'll be able to farm another year, help us get by.
Up to $11 billion of that package will go to producers of major row crops like corn, soybeans, wheat, rice, and cotton. And the remaining billion will be reserved for growers of fruits, vegetables, and other specialty crops.
A growing number of parents are opting out of giving their newborn infants vitamin K shots. This is a trend that researchers say could have some deadly consequences. Vitamin K has long been considered crucial for preventing bleeding and ensuring strong bones. But a new study shows that since 2017, the amount of infants not receiving these shots has increased by 77%. The CDC says the newborns who do not receive the shots are 81 times more likely to develop severe bleeding.
Workers at the Louvre in Paris, they're launching rolling strikes. This is starting next week. They're protesting deteriorating working conditions. That's how they describe it. A ticket price hike for non-European visitors and security failures. These were exposed by October's huge jewelry heist. Unions claim that the museum is in crisis right now, citing staffing shortages and also the physical condition of the building. Galleries have forced to close over water leaks.
Well, we now know the full extent of some of the injuries suffered by Miss Jamaica when she fell off the stage during the Miss Universe pageant. Dr. Gabrielle Henry suffered a brain bleed, a fracture, and facial cuts. She remains in the intensive care unit under constant neurological monitoring and 24-hour supervision. Henry is expected to be transferred to a hospital in Jamaica for continued treatment.
Jimmy Kimmel, meantime, will be staying on as host of Jimmy Kimmel Live for another year. ABC has extended the late-night host through May of 2027, and this all comes after that rocky period where he faced suspension in September over the remarks he made in the wake of the death of Charlie Kirk. President Trump has also been highly critical of Jimmy Kimmel, calling on ABC to cancel his show on multiple occasions.
Well, quarterback help could be on the way for the Indianapolis Colts, and this one is a blast from the past. According to the NFL Network, Phillip Rivers is planning to visit Indy today for a workout. The potential future Hall of Famer is exploring an NFL return after retiring back in 2020. Colts quarterback Daniel Jones suffered a season-ending Achilles injury on Sunday.
A 90-year-old neurosurgeon is finally getting his college degree. Say hello to David Kelly, everybody. He started at the University of North Carolina back in 1953 and then left undergrad for med school. I guess you could do that back then. He left for med school before he finished his undergrad. Now, UNC has confirmed that he met the 1955 requirements for a bachelor's degree in chemistry. So David Kelly walked in the winter commencement last week, and he officially joined the rest of his classmates in the class of 1955.
Never too late to
Never
finish,
too
right?
late.
Never too late. All right, that was a cool picture, too.
Yeah.
All right, plenty more Good Day Chicago to come this morning. Keep it right here.
President Trump says he will allow NVIDIA to sell an advanced type of computer chip to China.
The government had previously blocked the sale of the H200 chips, which are used in the development of AI due to national security concerns. Despite these restrictions, Chinese companies have produced their own AI models. Some of the AI industry have expressed a desire to develop the AI ecosystem in China with American companies, including NVIDIA.
TikTok is making some major upgrades to the platform. Social media platform recently announced it will be adding shared collections and shared feeds. This is similar to Instagram. This new feature allows users to share content in one place with friends or family. Shared collections is age restricted, though. You have to be over the age of 16 to use it, and both updates are available globally.
Take a look at this. Pear-shaped mugs that quickly sold out when they went on sale last month will be available soon. Starbucks says it is restocking them, but there's a catch. Fans can only score the cup if they win the Starbucks for Life holiday game. The game opened up to Starbucks Rewards members yesterday. One of the main prizes is the Barista Cup. You can also win gift cards and the opportunity to win free Starbucks for a year or even for life.
Wow, it's free Starbucks for life. That'd be something.
Save you a lot of chunk change.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Here's something. Hydration breaks, okay? These guys run a lot, soccer players. So all World Cup games next year will pause for 3-minute hydration breaks during each half. This is a new rule. It's designed to keep players safe during next summer's expanded tournament, which will be played in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. FIFA says the breaks will happen regardless of temperatures, adding that it reached the decision after consulting with coaches and broadcasters as well.
Good Day Chicago at 7 starts now.
A new warning from the federal government. They are threatening to pull funding from the CTA amid a stretch of violent crime on public transportation.
And a man is now facing charges after a Chicago police officer was shot over the weekend.
And could the city of Chicago be heading for our own local government shutdown? We're going to have the latest on the budget impasse.
And let's take a live look outside. This morning time now, 7 a.m. I feel like that snow has been there for weeks, and it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon.
We had more snow last night, Brian. I know it. And today we have additional wet weather, but some rain and temperatures above freezing.
Okay.
So
we'll take these little wins where we can get them.
Yeah, you know, this morning, it's quiet right now. We had that snow, as mentioned, overnight. So with that, it's still going to be a cloudy day, but at least we have this slight break from the precipitation for now. Temperatures, though, they are in the 20s. Right now, 27 degrees at O'Hare, 26 at the lakefront as well as Midway, 20 in DeKalb. I'm starting to see some 30s out there, 31 at LaSalle and Northwest Indiana. Temperatures for you are in the upper 20s. Now, it's going to feel colder than the upper 20s, of course, so dress for the teens this morning. Our day planner does have temperatures staying in the low 30s through noon. So lunchtime hour, 32 degrees, but dry. As we get into the mid-afternoon hours, that's when the chance for wet weather returns, including the potential for some freezing rain, especially north of Chicago during your evening commute. Then we get into tonight and tomorrow, where we start off the day Wednesday with the chance for some snow and gusty winds. So drops in visibility possible, especially early Wednesday. Then Thursday, a high of only 24. I'll time out these rounds of precipitation ahead. First, though, checking in with Gabby just after 7.
Caitlin and our drivers here in Chicagoland will be ready for that possible freezing rain tonight or slippery roadways. Let's talk about this crash eastbound I-88. So we were correct. I saw that slowdown. I was thinking something might be going on. It's eastbound I-88 at the Tri-State. It's actually exit ramp over to the southbound side of the Tri-State, and it's partially blocking that ramp, really just a left lane. There's 2 lanes technically in that side, but still causing a lot of traffic all the way to Kingery Highway to that spot, and then back over to the Eisenhower, which has kind of been our trouble spot before it was outbound. The icon just went away, but it's inbound at Harlem Avenue, and it's blocking at least a lane. That's why our drive time has really been heavy and the heaviest this morning on the Ike from Route 392, the old post office, around 55 minutes. Only 45 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. Most of your traffic, again, is before the junction. 45 minutes on the Stevenson, 35 minutes on the Dan Bryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Back to you, Anthony.
Thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. New this morning, a man is facing several charges, including attempted murder, after a shooting involving Chicago police, which happened Sunday morning in the Morgan Park neighborhood. Police responded to a group involved in an altercation. When they tried to separate the groups involved, somebody's gun went off. An officer was hit. He was hit in the protective vest, and an 18-year-old bystander was also hit. A second officer returned fire, and now 35-year-old Darren Brewster is facing multiple felony charges.
Also new this morning, the Skokie Fire Department responds to a fire in an apartment building overnight. Crews could be seen looking in an apartment. That building is located on Bronx Place. One witness says that the fire was in an apartment on the 3rd floor, and the residents there were frantic.
I started hearing like people running within the hallways of my building, people knocking, banging on doors, screaming.
We're still working to get an update on any injuries and also learn how the fire started.
A budget impasse in Chicago may have the city headed for a government shutdown.
Roseanne has more this morning on the standoff between the mayor and the 26 alders. Roseanne?
Right. Something sound familiar here? We have dealt with plenty of federal government shutdowns, but this would be a first. If the two sides don't reach some kind of an agreement by the end of the year, city services could be put on pause. The two sides meeting over the weekend, but simply not getting anywhere. Mayor Johnson continues to push for that corporate head tax that he says primarily affects millionaires and billionaires. But those 26 alders call that head tax a job killer. They say the budget also relies on risky borrowing that could send the city's credit rating plummeting. They're looking for compromise solutions, and they offered up the doubling of the garbage collection fee and some other ideas, but Mayor Johnson was simply not swayed.
I'm always open to negotiate details and to find compromises along the way, but doubling the garbage fee, collecting a grocery tax and some of the other regressive ideas that have been put forward, this budget cannot reflect the sins of the past.
Well, they have a stalemate on their hands. Alderwoman Samantha Nugent writing to fellow council cannot be a partner to a budget that will push Chicago over a financial cliff and wreak havoc on taxpayers of today and tomorrow. She said that the city simply cannot afford a Mayor Johnson imposed government shutdown. Both sides, as we said, have until December 30th to try to hammer out some kind of a solution to this issue. Outside City Council, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32 Chicago.
All right, Roseanne, thank you very much. In the meantime, the federal government is threatening to pull funds from the CTA if the CTA doesn't do more to prevent violence. The Federal Transit Administrator sent a letter to the governor and the mayor of Chicago demanding that the agency come up with a plan to cut the number of assaults and workers on passengers and workers. The directive allows a recent attack, follows a recent attack on a CTA Blue Line train where a repeat criminal set a woman on fire. The CTA has to act quickly here. The administrator of the Federal Transit Authority says it must have the safety plan ready for review by the 15th of December and then implement that plan 4 days later. The CTA says it has the directive and will respond within the requested timeline.
There are some concerns that immigration enforcement activity will keep worshipers from celebrating the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The largest gathering of its kind here in the U.S. is held annually in Des Plaines. Celebrations are planned for Thursday and Friday. Now, typically, hundreds of thousands of people take part in these festivities over the course of several days. Now, although Operation Midway Blitz is largely slowing down, there are still federal agents in the city and the suburbs. Worshippers spoke about what makes each year so special to them.
It's a feeling it's unbelievable. I can go to church, which is good, but when I come over here, it's so strong. I went to visit my wife. Of course, she's over in the cemetery next to us, right? I got to remember everybody that's up in heaven today. So it's a special day for me.
No politics, no cold weather. Nothing's going to stop us from coming to see her and thanking her for all her good deeds.
All of the shrine's masses and festivities will be live streamed so that those who are not comfortable attending in person or won't be able to make it will still be able to take part.
All right, some cautionary video to show you this morning. This is from Hinsdale. Look at the car collide with that train right now. The car had its nose under the gate that had come down. This is in Hinsdale, right on the Monroe Street tracks. Gates dropped, train hits the front of the car. It pushes it into the grass pretty quickly there. Police say the driver only has minor injuries. This could have been deadly if it was just inches away. The crash disabled the train. It slowed the BNSF line as well through the afternoon.
Time is now 7:07 this morning. Take a look at your screen. Aurora police are asking for your help in finding this shooting suspect. The department released these photos. Police say it happened just before 4 o'clock yesterday morning at the mobile gas station on Broadway. A 49-year-old man was pumping gas when police said that the suspect walked up and shot him. The man was hit several times and was hospitalized in stable condition. The police chief is calling this a brazen and unprovoked act of violence. Anyone with information about the suspect is asked to please call Aurora Police.
An Indiana State Senate committee is advancing redistricting legislation. This plan will now head to the full Senate for a floor vote later this week. It's the one that is backed by President Trump and designed to net the Republicans in Indiana 2 more seats in next year's midterms. The state house passed it last week.
Well, Metro is holding its 14th annual Toys for Tots drive. This is a live look right now from Millennium Station, where Metro is teaming up with the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve to collect toys at all downtown Metro stations. Marines and Metro employees are collecting new unwrapped toys. They're also taking cash. It's being held right during the morning rush hour. Started at 6 o'clock this morning, so you have until 9 a.m. this morning to either donate that toy or cash.
All right, the Bears will start prepping for their next game after that heartbreaking loss to the Packers. They will return home to host the Browns on Sunday. This past Sunday's game against the Packers, kind of a tale of two halves. They really did find a rhythm in the second half. They scored on 3 straight drives. They erased an 11-point deficit. Now, despite the loss of the Packers, ESPN's Mike Greenberg believes that the Bears are trending quickly in the right direction under head coach Ben Johnson.
I think Caleb Williams and the entire Bears team, for that matter, are light years ahead of schedule. And I emerged feeling better about them than I did before the game began. I felt better about the Bears and their prognosis, both short-term and long, after losing that game than I felt before it started. The play at the very end, I think, is just a bad throw. That's a play that he probably should have made. I think Caleb Williams is on the verge of being an absolute superstar.
Sunday's game against Cleveland, it kicks off at noon. You can catch it right here on your home of the Bears, Fox 32.
Speaking of Sunday's game right here on Fox 32, Caitlin, I was looking ahead to the 7-day. I saw a high of 10 on Sunday,
Bears
so
fans.
I guess they're going to be running the ball a lot.
This
It's gonna be fun out
weekend,
there.
yes, brutally cold this weekend. Brian is right. So we have wet weather to get through really this evening, tonight, and tomorrow. And then we have some scattered snow Thursday and Friday. And then the bottom drops out with these temperatures. This weekend, it is going to be dangerously cold. But let's talk about today before we get ahead of ourselves. Happy Tuesday. This morning, the wind chill, the feel like temperature. Let's talk about this because it's what is important. Talking about temperatures, yes, we're in the upper 20s, but it feels like we could be in the teens. So you might as well dress for 15 at the lakefront, 16 at O'Hare, 11 in Aurora, Woodstock 11, 9 in DeKalb. So it is a cold start, but the temperatures are about 20 degrees warmer than it was yesterday for some south. For us, we're seeing that 10 to 20 degree temperature jump throughout Chicagoland. So our futurecast, let's get into this precipitation because I mentioned the chance for wet weather later on today. Well, this morning it's quiet, but as we work our way to lunchtime, temperatures are in the low 30s. We've got clouds. Then we see 3, 4 o'clock and some wet weather is moving in. I'm talking about freezing rain potential, especially north of Chicago for your evening commute, north of I-88. South, you can see temperatures are around 34 degrees. Scattered showers, though, for everyone as we get to about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. That potential for the freezing rain looks to be shifting further north. And then overnight tonight, we're going to have the scattered rain turn over to snow. Tomorrow morning, snow coming down. Also, it's going to be a gusty night and early tomorrow, where winds could be around 40 miles per hour. So 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, temperatures are in the mid to upper 30s, but we have the snow coming down, and it is going to be gusty, so drops in visibility are possible. And notice as we head towards midday tomorrow, we still have some lake effect snow hanging on in northwest Indiana. We'll take a look at that weekend forecast. Your 7-day with those cold temperatures for the weekend is coming up. Back to you.
Well, coming up, we're learning more about what officers found when they searched Luigi Mangione during his arrest.
The best show.
A man is facing several charges, including attempted murder, after a shooting involving Chicago police.
This happened Sunday morning near 114th and South Dayville. That is in the Morgan Park neighborhood. An officer was shot in the protective vest, and an 18-year-old was also shot when police tried to break up an altercation. 35-year-old Darren Brewster is facing multiple felony charges.
The federal government is threatening to pull funds from the CTA if it does not do more to prevent violence. The Federal Transit Administrator sent a letter to the governor and Chicago's mayor. It demands that the agency come up with a plan to cut the number of assaults on workers and passengers. The agency has a deadline of next Monday to send their plan to the feds.
The Skokie Fire Department responded to an overnight apartment building fire. Crews could be seen focusing on one unit in that building. It's located on Bronx Place. We still have no word yet on injuries or what caused that fire.
Luigi Mangione is back in court this week with the pretrial hearing to determine what jurors will and will not see when the trial starts. The evidence being shown centers around Mangione's arrest at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. This happened days after the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City. The court showed photos of some of the items that Mangione had in his backpack. We're talking about things like clothes, USB drives, and a bus ticket to Pittsburgh. Police also found a loaded handgun in the backpack. Mangione faces 9 state charges, including second-degree murder. It could face the death penalty in a separate federal case.
Alina Habba is going to be resigning as the acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. This comes after an appeals court found that she was serving in that role unlawfully. Habba is a former attorney for President Trump, and she advocated for him on the campaign trail as well. She's going to remain serving as senior advisor to Attorney General Pam Bondi for other U.S. attorneys. A federal judge ruled that she was in that position, quote, without lawful authority. They ruled that back in August, and the DOJ has not appealed that decision. Meantime, the Supreme Court is expected to rule next summer on a case that would greatly expand presidential power over independent federal agencies if it does pass that court. The big question is whether President Trump can fire members of the FTC. During oral arguments yesterday, the conservative majority appeared to be siding with the administration, but liberal justices warn if a 90-year-old law is overturned, a president could fire all experts and replace those experts with loyalists. Other political news, Democrat Jasmine Crockett is launching her campaign for U.S. Senate out of the state of Texas. The 2-term congresswoman would face another rising star in the Democratic Party, James Tallarico, in the primary. And while polls say it will be an uphill battle, Democrats say that they believe they have a real chance at flipping that seat that is right now held by Republican John Cornyn, who is also running for re-election.
Time is now 7:18 this morning. As we check in with Caitlin, the sun's starting to come up this morning with still some snow there on the ground, but we got some slightly warmer temperatures this morning, Caitlin.
That's right. Temperatures are in the 20s. It is downright balmy. Not really. We do have temperatures feeling like we could be in the teens, but the actual temperatures, yes, not bad. 26 degrees at the lakefront, 28 in Gary, 28 in Joliet, 31 at LaSalle, 26 in Kankakee. Temperatures in the mid-20s from Woodstock to 20 degrees in DeKalb. Northwest Indiana hovering in the upper 20s right now. We do have a few clouds out there. As Brian mentioned, we have some snow on the ground. We had snow move through last night. Over the next 48 hours, temperatures are going to be slowly climbing into the 30s. Now, I do expect this afternoon to be in the low 30s through most of the afternoon until we reach later on this evening when those temperatures continue to climb to the mid and upper 30s. But we have the chance for wet weather, including some freezing rain possible this evening north of Chicago. And then tomorrow morning, snow with gusty winds expected tonight and tomorrow early before temperatures start to drop after a cold front moves through tomorrow morning. By the afternoon tomorrow, we are going to be seeing the 20s return. Your 7-day forecast, as promised, temperatures only reaching 24 degrees on Thursday, Friday's high 27, with the chance for some snow around Thursday and Friday. And then this weekend, highs are only going to be right around 13 degrees. We have the chance for a little bit of snow on Saturday, so very cold weekend ahead. 12 as our high Saturday, 13 on Sunday. Monday, a wintry mix is expected with highs right around 23. So for today, 36 degrees expected to be our high. Again, temperatures are better, but we do have that chance for wet weather, including morning, scattered showers, especially this evening, and that's when we could have some slick spots out there, especially north of Chicago. It is 7:19, tossing it over to Gabby to see, a car fire, huh?
Yeah, Caitlin, another car fire on the northbound side of I-55. We had one way earlier this morning. It was near Bluff Road, but this one is at Lorenzo Road, not really causing that much stop and go because it's a little less traveled, but still blocking at least a couple of lanes there. Then a note from you, OEMC just announced that they're going to have a closure for about 6 hours today, starting at 9 a.m. 111th Street between Western and Kedzie. This is like in the Beverly area, so southwest side, south side. So please keep that in mind. Again, starting at 9 a.m. today, and it should hopefully just be for today only to do some repairs. A couple other things to note on the eastbound side of I-88, southbound side of the exit ramp to southbound side of the Tri-State, that still has a crash that's blocking a lane. And then we also have something going on over on the Indiana Toll Road, although they're not making it clear which side of the Indiana Toll Road is being impacted, the eastbound or westbound side, but it's near State Road where we're seeing some action. Your drive times, though, 50 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, 45 minutes on the Eisenhower from Route 390 to the old post office, getting a little bit better there, 50 minutes on the Stevenson, a full 45 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Anthony.
Okay, Gabby, thank you very much for the update there. We got plenty more to get to here on Good Day Chicago. President Trump offering a bailout for struggling farmers. Also, there was a surge in chronic cannabis users going to the ER with stomach churning pain. We're going to be talking with Dr. Mike about what is known as scromiting. We'll explain. Also at 8 o'clock, Jake sat down with Oscar-winning director James Cameron to talk about the third film in the Avatar series. We'll be right back. President Trump, he is offering a $12 billion bailout package to help struggling farmers that have been affected by his tariff policies. He says farmers want a fair playing field, not aid, But the payments aim to help those that have been hit hard by the tariffs, especially soybean farmers. China, the largest buyer of U.S. soybeans in 2024, stopped buying from farmers altogether, American ones that is, because of its ongoing tariff battle with the White House. Now, after an October meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping, China did start purchasing soybeans once again. At a White House roundtable, farmers expressed gratitude for the financial lifeline.
The next couple of weeks, every farmer that is able to apply for it will know exactly what that number looks like.
You brought Christmas to farmers. With this bridge payment, we'll be able to farm another year, help us get by.
Up to $11 billion of the package would go to producers of major row crops. So we're talking about corn, soybeans, wheat, rice, and cotton. And the remaining billion would be reserved for growers of fruits, vegetables, and other specialty crops.
A growing number of parents are opting out of giving their newborn infants vitamin K shots. It is a trend researchers say could have some deadly consequences. Vitamin K has long been considered crucial for preventing bleeding and ensuring strong bones. But a new study shows that since 2017, the amount of infants not receiving this shot has increased by 77%. The CDC says that newborns who do not receive the shot are 81 times more likely to develop severe bleeding.
Workers at the Louvre Museum in Paris, they're launching rolling labor strikes starting next week. They are protesting what they describe as deteriorating working conditions. They're also protesting the ticket price hikes for non-European visitors and security failures that were exposed by October's $102 million crown jewels heist. Unions claim the museum is in crisis, and they cite staffing shortages and galleries forced to close over water leaks.
We now have a better idea of the extent of injuries suffered by Miss Jamaica when she fell off the stage during the Miss Universe pageant. Dr. Gabrielle Henry suffered a brain bleed, a fracture, and facial cuts. She remains in intensive care under constant neurological monitoring and 24-hour supervision. Henry, though, is expected to be transferred to a hospital in Jamaica for continued treatment.
Jimmy Kimmel is staying on as host of Jimmy Kimmel Live for another year. ABC has extended the late-night host through May of 2027. And this all comes after a rocky period where he faced suspension in September over those remarks that he made in the wake of the death of Charlie Kirk. President Trump has also been very critical of Kimmel, calling for ABC to cancel his show on multiple occasions. Caitlin.
All right, today temperatures improving. We're in the upper 20s. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful outside this morning. We have the chance for some wet weather, though, on the way. Look at this. Happy Tuesday. Slick roads possible this evening, and then snow tomorrow morning. A full check of your forecast is ahead.
You're watching Good Day Chicago at 7:30.
We appreciate you starting your Tuesday morning with us. Here's some headlines we are following for you. The Trump administration is threatening to pull funding from the CTA if the CTA doesn't put more officers at stations and on trains. This all comes after a woman was set on fire on the Blue Line last month. The Federal Transit Administration says it will withhold funding unless CTA addresses this issue by the end of the month. The CTA tells us it will respond within the requested time frame.
A man is now charged with attempted murder after opening fire on a Chicago police officer in the Morgan Park neighborhood on Sunday. Police were trying to break up a disturbance when 35-year-old Darren Brewster's gun went off. The bullet hit the officer's protective vest, and an 18-year-old was also hit. A second officer shot back at Brewster. He and the teen victim are both expected to recover.
The Skokie Fire Department is investigating a fire in an apartment building which broke out overnight at a building on Bronx Place. A witness says the fire was in an apartment on the 3rd floor. We are working to find out this morning if anyone was hurt and how that fire started. Big political story locally here. A budget impasse in Chicago may actually have the city of Chicago headed for a government shutdown.
Yeah, we just saw this on a federal level.
Yeah.
Roseanne has more this morning on the standoff between the mayor and the 26 alders.
Right, the two sides arguing about how to close a $1.1 billion budget deficit. And if they don't do it by the end of the year, city services could be put on hold for the very first time ever. Now, Mayor Johnson says millionaires and billionaires should step up and fill the gap. He's pushing for his corporate head tax. But the 26 alders say the so-called head tax on employees at large firms would chase companies and jobs away. They propose doubling the garbage collection fee and offered some other ideas, but the mayor argues that would hit working Chicagoans the hardest. Well, Jack Lavin is with the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. Here's his point of view.
He had a real alternative budget proposed by these alders, and he pretty much shot everything down. And he talks about working people, but you can't have working people without jobs. And he's got over $500 million of taxes that he wants to hit the business community with the head tax and the cloud tax or personal property lease transaction tax. And that's a lot for the business community to take.
A lot of the alder people arguing that the mayor simply isn't compromising here, but sticking to his guns on that corporate head tax. Both sides have until December 30th to try to figure something out. If the city government were to shut down, we're told vital services would continue. Outside City Hall, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32 Chicago.
But there are some concerns that immigration enforcement will keep worshipers from celebrating the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The largest gathering of its kind here in the U.S. is held annually in Des Plaines. Celebrations are planned for Thursday and Friday, and although Operation Midway Blitz has largely fallen quiet, there are still federal agents in both the city and suburbs. Worshipers talked about what makes each year so special to them.
It's a feeling it's unbelievable. You know, I can go to church, which is good, you know, but when I come over here, it's so strong. I went to visit my wife. Of course, she's over in the cemetery next to us, right? You know, I got to remember everybody that's up in heaven today. So it's a special day for me.
No politics, no cold weather. Nothing's going to stop us from coming to see her and thanking her for all her good deeds.
All of the shrine's masses and festivities will be live streamed so that those who are not comfortable attending in person can still take part.
All right, there is an easy way to help out local families this holiday season. Metra is holding its annual Toys for Tots drive right now. They're teaming up with the U.S. Marine Corps to collect gifts at all the downtown Metra stops. This is a live look right now at Millennium Station, and they are asking for unwrapped toys and also cash donations. So if you can get there by 9 a.m., that's when pickup ends. Love that they're doing that.
Yeah, love that they're taking cash. If you don't have the toy on you,
right,
you can still get some cash, right? As we check in with Caitlin this morning, and if you are heading out the door this morning, still got to bundle up because it is cold.
It is cold, but we are looking at our 24-hour temperature change first, Brian, because I want to start off with some good news. The difference between yesterday at this time and today, we are 9 degrees warmer at the lakefront. How about 24-degree temperature jump for those of you at LaSalle? 20 degrees warmer in Kankakee, also in Jasper, Newton County. So we're seeing a range here of about 10 to 25 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. We'll take it. It's a beautiful start to our day, but we have changes, of course, on the way. So right now we're sitting in the upper 20s for us in Chicago. Dress for the teens because it is going to feel even colder. But over the next 12 hours, temperatures are actually going to be approaching freezing by lunchtime and then pushing to the mid and upper 30s by later on this afternoon. But we have the chance for some wet weather, including some freezing rain, especially north of Chicago. Now, the feel-like temperature today is going to stay in the mid-20s, so it is going to be cool out there even this afternoon. But I think it's going to be mild compared to what we're used to now, so you can enjoy your afternoon before that rain moves in. So speaking of that chance for rain, 12:45, we're still dry. We have clouds in place. Then shortly after that, as we head towards about 2 or 3 p.m. on, the chance for rain is here, and we could see some freezing rain, especially for our northern areas where we're holding on to those colder temperatures around freezing, if not just below that during rush hour. Then we get into tonight and some scattered rain turns over to snow. We're going to have gusty winds. A cold front's moving through, dropping our temperatures, bringing those winds to about 40 miles per hour tonight and tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have the best chance for snow early, but in northwest Indiana we could have bands of some lake effect snow holding on through the day. And then the cold air really starts to settle in and temperatures are headed in the wrong direction for your Wednesday. We're starting off in the mid to upper 30s, but then we're dropping into the 20s as the day progresses. 7-day forecast, 24 is our high Thursday, Friday 27 with some snow around Thursday and Friday. But this weekend, the main headline, not the snow, but instead the temperatures as we're dropping down to around 13 degrees Saturday and Sunday. We have a few photos to share with you, and I love every single one of them. Every kid's dream sled for a winter ride. Okay, you guys, what do you call this? A sled or a toboggan?
My
husband.
I thought the sled is like the actual, with the instrument that you use, right?
I don't know. My husband always called this a toboggan.
Toboggan.
And I said, that's a sled. But he also calls winter hat a toboggan. That's a southern thing, I think.
Maybe.
Anyways.
A toboggan, I think, don't they have the flat wood on the bottom and it kind of curves up in
So maybe
the front?
that is technically a toboggan.
Yeah.
I'm going
I
sled.
thought toboggan, like,
I'm
if you,
sled.
I
I'm
thought you
going
go
with you
like
on this one,
tobogganing.
Caitlin.
Like, I thought that was like a thing where you go.
Yes.
Yeah, and we like going down the hill.
Yeah, no, I get what you're
In the
saying.
lanes.
Yes, right.
We'll do the research. Okay, we have a couple other photos to share with you. This one, I love this. The colored lights. Do you guys like the colored lights or white?
It depends on the house. I love both depending on the house itself.
get it.
Our house is more suitable for white light, like just the white lights.
Yeah, classic.
But those
are nice.
I
My
love
sister
those.
has the white lights for her tree.
Yeah?
Yes.
I gotta Google toboggan versus.
Yes.
Okay, Google it.
Sorry, it's
we'll
just
move on to the next one. Yeah, hey, we'll get to the bottom of this. A neighborhood hawk stopping by. So you guys can't see it from way over here at the desk, but this hawk is eyeing Glenn like crazy. I saw it up close. The hawk has red eyes. It's so cool to see these big birds in person. But this one, I don't think he's very happy that Glenn's around. He's probably trying to hunt, and Glenn's
Disturbing his peace.
scaring off the little mice and things. And then this next photo, oh, look at this little pupperoni. This is Sweet Nova on her morning walk. Thank you, Christian, for uploading your
Bundled
photo.
up out there, too.
Your baby puppy dog. All right, Anthony,
I've
what
got
did
the
you
answer.
get? Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Toboggan is a specific type of a runnerless sled.
What?
So it's got that long, it glides directly on the snow. So it's got that curved front. So, Caitlin, it's a sled.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got it.
All right.
All right, there's your drive times. Things stacking up out there. Drive safe, and we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. All right, I guess for some chronic cannabis users, getting the munchies is the least of their concerns. Get this, over the past decade, ERs are reporting a surge in regular cannabis users showing up with sudden stomach-churning attacks that leave them doubled over in pain, oftentimes a few times a year. Fox Medical Team's Dr. Mike joining us now live to talk about this phenomenon. Dr. Mike, there's a new verb for this. It's called scromiting, okay? It's like a combination of screaming and vomiting at the same time. This sounds awful. What is going on here?
Well, Anthony, if you're a regular user of marijuana, like daily, and it's rather heavy use, and you end up with significant vomiting and abdominal pain, and you're writhing in pain, not feeling well, getting dehydrated, you're going to end up in an emergency room. And that's what we're seeing more and more. Now, for many viewers, they'll be happy to know that I finally brought my brain with me, okay? And basically what happens is, if you use marijuana for prolonged periods of time, it really does affect receptors in the brain that, as you astutely mentioned, have a connection to the gastrointestinal tract. We often talk about feeling hungry when you use marijuana. What this does in heavy users, you end up with intractable nausea, vomiting, and because you have all of that cyclic vomiting and nausea, you can develop the abdominal pain. You don't feel well. You end up in the emergency room. So that's the name of it. It's been around a long time, I think since 2004. Cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. That's the technical name for it. The slang is that scromiting. And so got to be aware, if you're using a lot of marijuana and all of a sudden you start developing these symptoms, probably going to go to the ER and get evaluated. And the only treatment is to stop using the marijuana. We can give you some things to try to help, but there's not a lot that we can do for it other than stopping it and giving you IV fluids if you're dehydrated.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty simple solution there. Just cut back on the use. Now, let me ask you this. You said that it's been going on since about 2004. I have heard that over the years, marijuana, cannabis has gotten more potent. Does that have to do with this whole scromiting phenomenon?
So, you know, Anthony, you are so astute. I love it. I love it. Yes, the potency has gone up. You know, back in my day, Cheech and Chong, this is not grandma's marijuana. Much higher levels of THC. But some experts think it might be synthetic marijuana that is causing this. So there's a lot of possibilities. Bottom line is, the only thing you can do to get rid of it and stop it is to stop using it. First of all, I don't know how you get through the day if you're using marijuana heavily every single day. I mean, I don't know how you deal with that and try to eke out a living. I have no idea. But anyway, that's what you do.
Yeah, the cost-benefit analysis there doesn't really check out here. Scromiting doesn't seem worth it. Let me ask you another question while we have you on the line, Dr. Mike. A set of researchers is now saying that adolescence actually lasts into our early 30s. I am surprised by this. Do you have any insight on what this could possibly mean?
Well, basically, I'll bring the brain back. What these researchers did, they looked at MRI diffusion scans. They use these specialized MRI scans to look at how the brain functioned at different periods of time in life. And they found that in childhood, age 0 to 9, the brain was creating this vast network of connections, sometimes redoing them. And then when you hit age 9 up to about 32, that is the adolescent time when you really get efficient connections happening throughout the brain. Now, after 32, you hit into adulthood, and that's where the brain is quite stable, and you are able to develop things like wisdom, at least for many of us, you know, wisdom, and you have more ability to have crystallized intelligence, is the term they use. After 32, things kind of decline a little bit. I mean, after 66. So you're adolescent until 32. Adulthood, you're stable. After 66, all hell starts to break loose. You know, things start to decline, Anthony, and then after 83, you see more of that. But I will say, I happen to take care of a B-17 pilot who's 100 years old, and his brain functions better than mine. So these are super agers, and we're trying to figure out how their brain works better than others at that age. Pretty
I hope
incredible.
you can get to the bottom of that. 102 and still functioning on all cylinders. That is impressive. Dr. Mike, thank you for your wisdom, sir. We always appreciate it. All right, here's a quick look at what is coming up on Good Day Chicago at 8 and 9. We hope you're having a great Tuesday morning. Keep it right here. We'll be right back.
I'm on vacation.
All right, Chicago, 7:49. The sun is coming up to some fresh snow. We had some light snow last night. Today, we're starting off mild. We're going to be in the 30s this afternoon, but we have the chance for a wintry mix later on today. And what I mean by that is scattered showers that could lead to slick conditions, especially north of Chicago during the evening rush. Now, as we work our way into tonight, the wind is going to pick up and we're going to have gusts around 40 miles per hour, possible tonight as well as tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, snow will be falling, so your morning commute could be impacted not only by the snow, but the gusty winds blowing the snow around. So drops in visibility are possible for your Wednesday morning. Right now, it's 27 degrees from the lakefront to O'Hare, 26 at Midway, as well as Chicago Heights. Low 20s in Aurora at 22, 20 in DeKalb, 31 at LaSalle. So temperatures are better, but they still are cold. Our wind chill is actually in the mid-teens. It feels like 15 at the lakefront and O'Hare, 9 in DeKalb, 15 in Morris. So dress warm this morning. As we head on into the afternoon, I mentioned how temperatures are going to be pushing into 30s. But with the chance for that wet weather, starting around 3 to 4, we could see some slick spots. So take it slow out there, especially north of Chicago. Overnight tonight, we're going to have that transition from that wintry mix over to rain showers before we get into Wednesday morning when snow will be falling. And then into the afternoon even, we could see some lake effect snow showers tomorrow in northwest Indiana. But it is going to be an interesting day of temperatures where we start off with our high in the morning and then throughout the day dropping down into the 20s. 7-day forecast, 24 on Thursday, Friday's high 27 with some snow around. But the bigger story as we head on into the weekend is the cold temperatures with highs only around 12 to 13 degrees on Saturday and on Sunday. Brian.
Well, don't forget, Metro is holding its annual Toys for Tots drive. It's happening right now. We're teaming up with the U.S. Marine Corps to collect gifts at all downtown Metro stations. If you're taking a train into work this morning, this is what you will see at Millennium Station. They're asking for any unwrapped toys and also accepting cash donations from now until 9 a.m. this morning. Well, the Golden Globe nominations were announced yesterday, and they're giving us a better idea at which of those movies might be taking home some big awards in the coming weeks. Jake Jones is this morning with more.
That's right, Brian. This is my favorite season.
Of course.
Called awards season. Yeah, we have officially entered awards season. It's that time of year where different groups name different movies, the best of this and the best of that. But after yesterday's Golden Globe nominations, it looks like as we head toward the Oscars, there's one movie to beat. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think any other movie has a chance at beating it.
I wanted to protect you from all your mom's stuff and all my stuff, even though I know that's impossible.
This is the end of the line. Not for you.
One battle after another landed 9 different Golden Globe nominations, more than any other movie. That includes nominations for Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress for Chicago's own Chase Infinity, and 2 Best Supporting Actor nominations and Best Supporting Actress and Best Director. It keeps going. The film has also been named Best Picture of the Year by the National Board of Review, the AFI Awards, and the New York Film Critics Circle and the LA Film Critics Association. Look for this movie to ride that wave all the way to the Oscars on March 15th. Next up, it's one battle after another for control of Warner Brothers. Paramount not going down without a fight. The studio has gone straight to stockholders of Warner Brothers, offering to buy their shares and get control of the studio. Paramount says they are offering $17 billion more than what Netflix has offered. That would be about $30 per share. Last week, Warner Brothers announced an exclusive $72 billion deal with Netflix. The purchase still is not final, so there's plenty of time for anything to happen. Next up, doesn't look like Jimmy Kimmel's going anywhere anytime soon. The comedian signed a 1-year extension with ABC to continue hosting Jimmy Kimmel Live. This comes as the war of words continues between the late-night host and President Donald Trump. At the Kennedy Center honors on Sunday, the president described the host as terrible and horrible, saying, "If I can't beat out Jimmy Kimmel in terms of talent, then I don't think I should be president." The late-night host responded with, "I don't think I've ever agreed with anything more than that."
2009,
There we are.
the very first one in London.
Yeah, I was probably about 35 pounds heavier right now.
You look good now. You looked good then.
Well, no, because Avatar took everything.
Sure.
And there was a lot of nervous eating around the end to get that film done. I mean, let's face it, we were crazed. This one has been calmer. I mean, the filming itself is quite exciting, right? But the post-production has been calmer and more disciplined.
Well, I'm glad that you're calmer and more disciplined.
I'm a happy camper that this is all done.
Coming up in the next hour of Good Day Chicago, it's a Fox 32 Chicago exclusive. Oscar-winning director James Cameron. He and I have been talking about the Avatar movies for 16 years. He got slimmer and I got older, and now we're back talking about the 3rd film of the series opening next week. It's called Avatar: Fire and Ash, and we look back over his career and that big screen death that made us all cry back in 1997. Was there room on that door? We'll talk about it. Our Chicago exclusive interview coming up in the next hour of Good Day Chicago. Anthony, you had to have been in the theaters in 1997 seeing Titanic?
Yes,
was
I believe I
was.
I
say no. I say there was no room.
You say no? I'm going with Jake then.
Yeah, you're the expert.
Yeah,
there
I'm gonna have to check with Maggie though, because that's in my wife's top, 5 movies.
Of course.
I think she saw it like 5 times in the theater.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir. It's 7:55. We got plenty more Good Day Chicago just ahead. Keep it right here.
The government had previously blocked the sale of the H200 chips were used in the development of AI due to national security concerns. Despite the restrictions, Chinese companies have produced their own. Now we're hearing that they have models. Some in the AI industry have expressed a desire to develop the AI ecosystem in China with American companies, including NVIDIA.
TikTok is making some major upgrades. The social media platform recently announcing it will be adding shared collections and shared feeds. This is similar to Instagram. This new feature allows users to share content in a single place with their friends or their family. Shared collections is age restricted for users. You got to be over the age of 16, I should say, to use it. And both those updates are available globally.
Bear-shaped mugs. It quickly sold out when they went on sale last month. They were so cute. They're going to be available soon. Starbucks says it's restocking them, but there is a catch. Fans can only score the cup if they win the Starbucks for Life holiday game. The game opened to Starbucks Rewards members yesterday. One of the main prizes is the Barista Cup. Get it? Like barista? Barista. Okay. You can also win gift cards and the opportunity to win free Starbucks for a year or for life.
It looks like a fun little video game on the app there, yeah. A new study shows getting fewer than 7 hours of sleep each night could shorten your life expectancy. This is not what we want to hear on this shift, guys. It consistently found that lower lifespans for shorter sleepers across the country, regardless of geographic factors, socioeconomic status. Researchers say that sleep placed second only behind smoking as the strongest factor in reducing your life expectancy.
Many potential home sellers may be backing out of the market. Realtor.com reports a trend in house delistings last month. The report shows delistings jumped 38% in November compared to the previous month. Delistings for the year are up 45% compared to the same period in 2024.
The Trump administration is launching a new task force to try to tackle food supply chain security. The executive order notes it will address risks from price fixing and anti-competitive behavior. The Justice Department and the Federal Trade Commission will take a hold of this work and will try to introduce new regulations through future investigations, it says.
Good Day Chicago at 8 starts now.
Well, now at 8, Chicago could be headed toward a government shutdown. The mayor and alders have hit a stalemate, and time is running out to reach a deal.
Plus, protect passengers or lose your federal funding. That is the Fed's new warning for the CTA. We're going to tell you about the new deadline for them to put more police on trains.
Our next round of wintry weather is on the way. Even though it looks gorgeous out there right now, that sunshine is shining. It's just the beginning. Back-to-back chances for ice and snow, though, are in our very near future.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody. We're saying hello to Caitlin Cody. And we're starting off with actual rain, right? Before some parts are getting some freezing rain?
Yeah,
Is that correct?
So at the onset, it could be a little bit icy out there, especially north of Chicago. We're talking about later on today. So evening time frame, we're going to have some rain move in, but the temperatures, they're going to be hovering right around freezing at that time. So that's why we could have some slick spots out there. As mentioned, timeline-wise, unfortunate because it could be during your evening rush home. So this morning, it is quiet. You saw from those live shots. It's beautiful. Satellite radar, after this morning's snow has now moved out, is nice. Temperatures are in the 20s for most. I do see 30 in Joliet and 31 at LaSalle, 27 at the lakefront and at Midway, 28 in Gary. Here's your day planner. Temperatures reaching around 33 degrees by 1. So again, we're going to be around freezing this afternoon. And then this evening, temperatures continue to climb to the upper 30s for many. Our 3-day forecast has us at 36 as our high. And then tonight, we're going to see that transition over to snow for early tomorrow. 34 as our high tomorrow with gusty winds tonight and early tomorrow especially. And then Thursday, a high of only 24. I'll time out this wet weather ahead.
All right. Thank you, Caitlin. Chicago budget talks have reached a stalemate.
Yes, indeed. And time is running out for city leaders to come up with some kind of compromise here. Roseanne Tellez explains what could happen if they don't. Roseanne.
That's right. Does this scenario sound a little familiar? Well, we've dealt with federal government shutdowns, but this would be a first. If the two sides don't reach an agreement by year's end, city services could be put on pause. Both sides met over the weekend, but really didn't get anywhere. Now, Mayor Johnson continues to push for his corporate head tax idea that he says primarily affects millionaires and billionaires. But those 26 alders call that head tax a job killer and say the budget also relies on risky borrowing that could send the city's credit rating plummeting. They're looking for compromises and offered up doubling the garbage collection fee and some other ideas, but Mayor Johnson was not swayed.
Always open to negotiate details and to find compromises along the way, but doubling the garbage fee, collecting a grocery tax and some of the other regressive ideas that have been put forward. This budget, cannot reflect the sins of the past.
Yeah. Many Alder people saying that both sides need to give a little here. Alderwoman Samantha Nugent writing to her fellow council members, "We cannot be a partner to a budget that will push Chicago over a financial cliff and wreak havoc on taxpayers of today and tomorrow." She said that the city cannot afford a Johnson-imposed government shutdown. Once again, that deadline, December 30th. Mayor Johnson will be giving his daily press briefing or his standard press briefing in just a bit, and we'll be able to ask if any compromises are on the table. Outside City Hall, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32, Chicago.
Thanks for the update there, Roseanne. Appreciate it. New this morning, the Trump administration is threatening to pull funding for the CTA.
Yeah, this is a big development. The Federal Transit Administration wants more officers at train stations and on the trains. Brian Jackson is back with us to explain why. Hey, Brian.
Well, this is all due to concerns around crime. That directive follows that attack on the Blue Line last month, where a woman was set on fire. The suspect did have a long criminal history and had been arrested more than 70 times. In letters to Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker, the FTA administrator states that it is the responsibility of leaders at every level to create a safe system for riders and workers on transit, and accused them of neglecting that responsibility. He says that they will withhold funding if they do not address this issue by the end of the month. Now, we have reached out to CTA. They tell us that they have received the document and will respond within that time frame. And this is just the latest incident in the ongoing battle between the White House and local leaders, including the Trump administration's attempt to send the National Guard to Chicago to deal with crime. Back in October, the Department of Transportation froze $2.1 billion in funds for the extension of the CTA Red Line. The agency said it was needed to ensure that money was not going to race-based contractors. Rules established years ago require for the CTA to give contracts to minority and women-owned companies, but the government says that those rules are a form of discrimination. Anita?
Okay, thank you. Also new this morning, a man is now charged with attempted murder after opening fire on a Chicago police officer over the weekend. Happened on Sunday morning near 114th and South Davall in the Morgan Park neighborhood. Police were called for a disturbance, and when they tried to break it up, 35-year-old Darren Brewster's gun went off. The bullet hit the officer's protective vest, and an 18-year-old, a second officer, fired back at Brewster. The teen victim and Brewster are both in the hospital but expected to recover.
The Skokie Fire Department is investigating a fire at an apartment building, and this happened overnight at a building on Bronx Place. A witness there says the fire was in an apartment on the 3rd floor. Residents were frantic.
I started hearing people running within the hallways of my building, people knocking, banging on doors, screaming.
We are working this morning to find out if anyone was hurt in that fire and to learn how it started. All right, here's some video showing the moment a train slammed into a car in Hinsdale. It happened yesterday morning. That car, you can see there, it was stopped on the Monroe Street tracks. The nose of the car was underneath the gate itself. And there's the moment of impact. You can see the train hits the front of the car, pushes it back onto the grass. Police say the driver is hurt, but not badly. This could have been deadly if that driver was just a few inches forward. But the crash did slow down the BNSF line as well throughout the afternoon.
New this morning, PepsiCo workers in Chicago are bracing for possible layoffs. The company made the announcement on Monday alongside a series of other changes. Cranes reports it includes removing nearly 20% of its U.S. product lineup. The company is headquartered in Purchase, New York, but runs much of its beverage business out of Chicago. The Bears are shifting their focus now. You know, you got to put it behind you. Put it behind you. Move forward after the loss to the Packers.
Yes, they returned to Soldier Field on Sunday to host the Cleveland Browns. Sunday's game this past Sunday against the Packers, kind of a tale of two halves. They did find a pretty good rhythm in that second half. They scored on 3 straight drives. They erased an 11-point deficit. So there's optimism. According to ESPN's Mike Greenberg, Greeny believes that the Bears are quickly trending in the right direction under Ben Johnson.
I think Caleb Williams and the entire Bears team, for that matter, are light years ahead of schedule. And I emerged feeling better about them than I did before the game began. I felt better about the Bears and their prognosis, both short-term and long, after losing that game than I felt before it started. The play at the very end, I think, is just a bad throw. That's a play that he probably should have made. I think Caleb Williams is on the verge of being an absolute superstar.
Sunday's game against Cleveland kicks off at noon, and you can watch it right here on Fox 32, your home of the Bears. Appreciate that optimism from Mike Greenberg.
Yeah, you know, we're going in the right direction. Most of the players say they don't want a moral victory, but at the same time, I mean, it's good to hear other folks see where we're going with things. Yeah. All right, today, Metra is holding its annual Toys for Tots drive. They're teaming up with the U.S. Marine Corps to collect gifts at all of the downtown Metra stations. They're asking for unwrapped toys and cash donations. Pickup ends at 9 a.m., so you got a little less than an hour to go, but still plenty of time to get in there and do some good.
That's right. Right. If you didn't have a gift, cash is fine too. All right, we're checking in with Caitlin for a look at how Tuesday is going to play out. Sounds like we got a little moisture, then some freezing rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, winter
A little good, a little bad.
Yeah.
A little good, a little bad. Okay. Right now, it's quiet. Temperatures are warmer than we were yesterday by about 15 to 20 degrees out there, leaving us in the upper 20s for Chicago. A few of us tagging 30. I see a 30 there in Joliet, but it is 28 at O'Hare, 27 at the lakefront, 24 in Aurora, 31 at LaSalle. A few clouds. But this afternoon, those clouds are going to bring us that wet weather that Anthony was just teasing about. So here's your futurecast. Let's take you through your day. First of all, by lunchtime at noon, we're right around freezing. And as we work our way into the second half of the day, so 2, 3 o'clock, we're starting to see some rain move in. But the temperature is still hovering at around freezing, especially north of Chicago. That's why locations like Lake McHenry, DeKalb County, Kane County, you could be getting in on some freezing rain. Northern Cook County. So watch out for that this evening. Before we all turn over to rain showers as temperatures continue to climb. Now, with that, tomorrow morning, it's not going to be rain. It's going to be snow. We have a cold front on the way. It's going to be knocking our temperatures down during the day tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, gusty wind and snowfall. So this evening, north of the city, you could see some slick spots. The rest of us, just rain showers. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to have the snow falling along with gusty winds. So drops in visibility are possible as temperatures start in the mid-30s, but then we drop down to the 20s with some lingering snow even in the afternoon, especially in northwest Indiana where lake effect snow is possible. We'll take a look at your 70 forecast because once this cold air drifts in tomorrow, it's going nowhere. In fact, this weekend, brutally cold temperatures are on the way. I'll show you that ahead.
Caitlin, thank you so much. We saw one of these on Belmont. I was like, Theo, what's that on the corner? Hey, we're talking about delivery robots. Yes. Delivery robots, you seen these?
I've seen them.
Hey, they're slowly taking over Chicago, and it is prompting a new petition.
Yeah, folks, got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Plus, we're getting ready to support the iHeartRadio and Lurie Children's Radiothon, the easy way you can help local families in need. We'll talk about that on the opposite side of the break, too.
And here's another way to help Chicago Bears. They are hosting their 37th annual coat drive. The Bears, along with Jewel Osco, the Salvation Army, and Sherway Movers, are asking for your coat donations. Just drop them off at any participating Jewel Osco. Fill up those boxes. They're always right in the front of the store there, and you can do so now through February 16th. If you want more info online, you can go to chicagobears.com/coat drive.
'Tis the season.
Okay, in the next hour, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is expected to hold a news conference after he and alders failed again to reach a budget agreement.
They've got a lot of work to do to get somewhere on this. Last night's meeting saw little to no progress. The city council and mayor are trying to come up with an agreement to close a $1.1 billion budget gap. If they cannot decide on something by the end of the year, we could see a city government shutdown.
The Trump administration, meantime, threatening to pull funding from the CTA if it doesn't put more officers at stations and on trains. This all comes after a woman was set on fire on the Blue Line last month, made national headlines. The Federal Transit Administration says it will withhold funding unless CTA addresses the issue by the end of the month. CTA has responded, telling us that it will respond within that time frame.
PepsiCo workers in Chicago are bracing for possible layoffs. The company made the announcement on Monday. It also told employees it's removing nearly 20% of its U.S. product lineup. The company is headquartered in Purchase, New York, but runs much of its beverage business out of Chicago. All right, it's about 8:15 right now. Let's get back over to Caitlin. We've got weather conditions that are going to be changing over the next several hours.
A lot to talk about this morning. The wind chill. So 20s, it sounds good, but the feel like temperature outside right now is only 16 at the lakefront. So you got to dress warm. 16 at O'Hare, only feeling like 12 in Aurora, 16 in Morris, and 15 in Kankakee. So it is a chilly start, but temperatures have improved big time. 15 to 20 degrees warmer right now compared to yesterday at this time. But as we head into the afternoon, we're talking about the potential for some wet weather, including the chance for some freezing rain north of Chicago, especially as we head on into this evening. This is 3:45, so rush hour time frame, because temperatures are going to be hovering right around freezing as this rain moves in. Scattered showers, though, for everyone as we get towards closer 7 to 8 o'clock. And then tonight, the wind is going to pick up as this cold front chugs on by. We're going to have gusts to about 40 miles per hour tonight as well as tomorrow, especially early. Snow in the forecast for your Wednesday morning, and then some lingering lake effect snow in northwest Indiana even into the afternoon. So that's what we mean by big changes. Tomorrow's high 34, that's going to be in the morning. As we head throughout the day, the 20s are going to return, and our high on Thursday is only 24 degrees. 27 on Friday, Thursday and Friday, there's a chance for some snow around, better potential on Friday to see that snow. This weekend, the main headline is going to be the cold, because temperatures are dropping down to 8 degrees Saturday morning with a high of 12. And then 2 as our Saturday night low into Sunday morning with a high of only 13. So this weekend is going to be very cold. Wind chills 15 to 20 degrees below zero Sunday morning. Monday's high 23 with a chance for a wintry mix. Back to you.
Well, 'tis the season for giving, and Fox 32 is proud to support iHeartMedia and Lurie Children's Radiothon for another year. I'm joined this morning by Beyonce Fox, host for V103, and Josh Klinger from The Klinger Show on Rock 95.5. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us today. We're happy to be here.
Now, for some of our viewers at home who maybe have never tuned into this Radiothon, what exactly can they expect to hear on Thursday, and how do those stories help shape what's so powerful about this gift bag?
It is literally the most wonderful time of year, because this is a time where all 6 radio stations at iHeartMedia Chicago come together and we raise money for these families whose children are at Lurie's. And it is just such a fulfilling time, such gratification, because we're getting money from our listeners and viewers of Fox, and we're just so appreciative of people who reach deep down and they love to give.
They do. You know, Rock 95.5 loves to have fun. We love to goof off. We love to keep the rock alive. Our listeners, just like yours, they dial into this one day a year where we break format and we are asking for people to give their money. And what I love about this partnership we have with Lurie Children's is that the money raised stays right here in Chicago. Yes. There are a lot of families with these beautiful kids that spend, we were talking about this in the green room, spend many days and nights at this hospital. And we take it for granted sometimes that our daughter, Vera, is healthy and thriving after a year. And that's not necessarily the case for all parents. Right. And it is heartbreaking. However, it's also empowering when you talk to these parents and they have a partnership with a hospital that's got their back.
Yes.
And when they have their back, could you share maybe a story of exactly how that money specifically is used for these families?
Yeah, the money is used for research. You know, a lot of research goes into medicine and finding out cures for things. Also, school activities. Yeah. Also, art therapy. There's an art therapy school on site there, school services.
There are service animals, and all of this stuff costs money, even outside of the operating room and medicine and stuff. When these children and their families are staying at the hospital day after day after day, they then lean on programs that you just mentioned, including having a canine make the rounds too. And so the money raised will go to fund programs like this. And the hospital is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
It is. And the human beings behind it
Amazing.
do the heavy lifting on behalf of their patients.
Now, obviously, we got the Radiothon coming up on Thursday. How else can some of our viewers and your listeners as well donate?
Absolutely. There's a
LurieChildren's.com /org. LurieChildren's.org/radiothon. Is a super way to do that. And I just want to stress it again, the money that we all work so hard to make for our friends and our family and stuff, it stays right here and it goes right to the hospital. It's not outside of Illinois.
And you can also text to give at 34984. And there is a 188 number as well.
Yeah, it's right there for you on your screen. Looking forward to Thursday and all the great work. We're all kind of combining forces to do something great.
And I love that, and I appreciate Fox 32 kind of helping us do that. It's such a collective operation, and by the end of the day, when we announce that final number, and who knows what it is, it's a lot of money.
A lot of
It is a tremendous amount of money, and we're so appreciative of anybody that can just give a little bit.
We raised more than $1 million last year, so we
That's
might double
so
that
much.
this
Starting
year.
point.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yep.
Right, thank you both for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to hearing from you guys on Thursday, too.
Indeed.
Thank you.
All right, well, we've got a busy show coming up for you this morning on Chicago Now at the top of the hour. He's opened for Patti LaBelle and worked in TV with Jamie Foxx and Jim Carrey. Tommy Davidson joining us ahead of some of his shows this weekend at Chicago Improv. And a new study finds customer ratings could help identify gamers who've lost self-control. Plus, the longest-serving chief usher at the White House pens a new book telling the real personalities of some of the first families. Looking forward to that. And also the untold stories of 7 presidents. All that and much more starting at 10 a.m. on Chicago Now.
Selling your home.
Right, 8:23, everybody, welcome back. It is Tuesday, and you know that means that our friends from Black Cup Chicago are back with another round of stories that you don't want to miss. So Michael Liptrot, is always great to have you here.
Always good to be here.
So the holidays bring families together, of course, and sometimes that's great, sometimes it's not. But big gatherings, sometimes some judgy relatives. Right. We're talking also with a parenting expert in just a bit about what they have going on, but there's so much happening here in Chicago that you all have been following. So tell me a little bit about, you said the Bulls. What is the story with the Bulls that you all have going on right now?
Yes, so last Thursday, the Bulls had a big holiday giving back event. It's part of their Season of Giving campaign, where they impact over 1,300 children across 20 events. And it's something where last Thursday they had students from Galileo, Scholastic Academy over in Little Italy, come over to the stadium. They got to sit in on a practice. They got to play some video games and with some players. And at the end, they gave them some gifts in terms of some gaming equipment, different stuff. And so it's a great chill time. Like the average kid that plays 2K never thinks that they're going to sit with Josh Giddey and play against them and play with them. So it's really good. It's really good. And then you have Bull players, Dom, who is from Bronzeville, and him talking about like what that meant to him growing up in terms of being in Bronzeville, looking up to the Bulls, wishing you could be at the United Center, and now seeing this next generation of kids that want to be in your shoes, being able to play with them. So it was a good time.
Moments that these kids will never forget, for sure, for so many different reasons. I mean, just looking at these videos here of the kids, their faces mean everything. Right. All right, let's move on to deep dish pizza. What do you have there?
Yes, the Anacini brothers. So over 100 years of being purveyors of meats, giving some of the best deep dish pizzas, and then the big thing of developing the sausage patties that really made Chicago's deep dish pizzas, especially the sausage.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, iconic. And thinking about that in terms of just how much that is meant to people, and thinking about for people coming from Italy, trying to really stand out, and how the deep dish really set them apart. And getting with the owners of Pizzeria Uno and putting their sausage patties in the deep dish pizzas, and then taking off from there. And then later you see the Anacini brothers get with Dick Portillo, who makes Portillos.
Yes.
And so you see just the history of that when it comes to a lot of people. You eat these iconic Chicago foods, you never think, well, who supplied the meats?
Yeah, you don't know like the background behind them. You're just hungry and you're like, it's good.
Right. It was way before Arby's was like, we got the meats. The Anacini brothers, they got the meats.
They got the meats. Okay, so on a final note here, we have started to see these robots roaming around town, and I was saying in the break, like, they take you aback at first, like, what is oh, these are the robots people have been talking about here.
Right.
How are people taking to it, though?
It's a mixed response, because some people are definitely concerned when it comes to particularly ADA compliance on the sidewalk, safety. Some of these robots are getting in accidents, and then also job security, and thinking about, are these robots taking people's jobs from Uber Eats drivers? And understanding that if this becomes more widespread across all the city and across all of America, how that's going to impact the dynamics of, can you walk down the street and are you having to walk around robots, a bunch of little flags on the streets? Now, when you turn, you're making a turn at the light, instead of looking for a child, you have to look for a little flag to see if that's going to be something you're going to hit. It's different. So now there's a group organizing on the north side, getting petitions together, and they have over 1,500 signatures, really looking for the city to release data in terms of ADA compliance, in terms of incidents, and also setting rules, setting clear rules on understanding what this means.
Have to have some regulations, I also wonder, like, is my food gonna make it to, is it gonna make it to me? You know, if there's just this little thing going, can somebody just pick it up and run with my food? Or well,
Right,
I've got a lot of things going through my mind, you know. But yeah, when you see them, you're just like, what is? Oh, that's what that is. So thank you for coming. We always appreciate having you here, and the research that you all do, the reporting that you all do. It's always valued. Okay, everybody. So I did mention that the holidays are bringing together some big family gatherings. We're going to talk about it coming up after this break. And also, Caitlin, we've got to talk a little bit more about the weather outside.
Ooh, I see your script. Judgy relatives. That's going to be juicy. Yeah, we've got a lot going on with our forecast. A cold front swinging through, dropping our temperatures tomorrow. And before we even get there, we have the potential for some freezing rain, snow, and gusty wind. A full check of your forecast. I'll break it down for you coming up after the break.
Hey, Caitlin, can you believe that I haven't seen the Nutcracker before? Well, I'm going to put this on my list. This weekend, Hyde Park School of Dance is taking on their rendition of the Nutcracker. We're going to tell you all about it. Get a sneak peek of what the dance is going to look like. First up is going to be the snow dance that you're all familiar with. I'll tell you all about it after this break.
Welcome back, everybody. It is crunch time for City Council and the mayor. City leaders up against the clock to come up with a budget plan.
Roseanne Tejas is live to explain how the stalemate could affect all of us. Good morning.
Well, good morning. That's right. They are arguing over how to close a $1.1 billion budget gap. And if they can't get this done by the end of the year, yes, there is a chance that city services could be put on hold. And that would be a first. We're used to federal government shutdowns, but haven't seen that happen here in Chicago. Now, Mayor Johnson says millionaires and billionaires should step up and fill the gap and is pushing for that corporate head tax. But 26 alders say that head tax on employees at large firms would chase companies and jobs away. They proposed doubling the garbage collection fee and offered some other ideas. But the mayor argues those plans hit working Chicagoans the hardest. Jack Lavin is with the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce and had this to say.
He had a real alternative budget proposed by these alders, and he pretty much shot everything down. And he talks about working people, but you can't have working people without jobs. and he's got over 500 million of taxes that he wants to hit the business community with the head tax and the cloud tax or personal property lease transaction tax. And that's a lot for the business community to take.
But that clock is ticking again. The two sides have until December 30th to reach some kind of deal. Now, right now, we're in the press room waiting for Mayor Johnson to address the media at 9 o'clock, and we'll be able to ask him if any new compromises are in the picture yet. Live from City Hall, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32, Chicago.
All right, Roseanne, thank you for the update. Meantime, the Trump administration is threatening to pull funding for the CTA if the CTA doesn't put more officers at stations and on trains.
It comes after a woman was set on fire on the Blue Line last month. The Federal Transit Administration says it will withhold funding unless CTA addresses the issue by the end of the month. CTA tells us that it will respond within that time frame.
A man is now charged with attempted murder after opening fire on a Chicago police officer in Morgan Park. This was Sunday. Police were there trying to break up a disturbance when 35-year-old Darren Brewster's gun went off. The bullet hit the officer's protective vest. An 18-year-old was hit as well. A second officer did fire back at Brewster. He and the teen victim are both expected to recover.
PepsiCo workers in Chicago are bracing for possible layoffs. The company made the announcement on Monday. It also told employees that it's removing nearly 20% of its U.S. product lineup. The company is headquartered in Purchase, New York, but runs much of its beverage business out of Chicago.
8:35. Let's check back in with Caitlin Cody for a look at our next day or so in the weather department. How are we doing outside?
Starting with the good news, okay? This is our 24-hour temperature change. We are 23 degrees warmer than we were yesterday at this time in LaSalle. 22 degrees warmer in Morris, 20-degree jump in Aurora, 10 degrees warmer for us in Chicago. So it is better today starting off, but the feel like temperature is still in the teens. So it's going to be cold, don't get me wrong, but the upper 20s and low 30s, it's a nice thing to see. Right now, it is 28 degrees at the lakefront and in Gary, as well as O'Hare, 31 at Joliet, and 28 in Kankakee. Over the next 12 hours, temperatures are going to be climbing into the 30s. In fact, hovering right around freezing through most of the afternoon. And then this evening, that's when temperatures continue to rise. I do expect to be right around 35 or 36. Wind chill, though, as mentioned, it is going to stay cold this morning, feeling like the teens. Even this afternoon, when we're in the 30s, it's going to feel like we could be in the mid-20s. But let's get to what's really important. We have the chance for wet weather moving in this afternoon and really more so even this evening. Between about 3 and 4, we're starting to see that green and pink, which means we have the chance for some freezing rain, especially north of Chicago, north of I-88, where temperatures are going to be hovering right around freezing. You may have some ice development on roadways. This is unfortunate timing because it's rush hour. Most of us getting in on just rainfall, which will assist in melting throughout Chicagoland, which is a good thing because we have more snow in the forecast as soon as early tomorrow. Snow coming down for your morning commute. It's also going to be a gusty start. Winds around 40 miles per hour tonight as well as tomorrow. The snow will slowly start to move out with some lingering lake effect in northwest Indiana even into the afternoon. But the temperatures, that's the main story as we head into the weekend. I'll show you your extended forecast. That's 7-day coming up.
All right, thank you very much, Caitlin. Plenty of us like to pop bottles to celebrate the holidays. So at 9 a.m., we're going to be speaking with a certified wine specialist about the one wine that fits all approach and why it is perfect for gifting. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The holidays ask us to do many things this time of year, but something we might rarely consider, our parenting skills may be on full display in front of other people. And, you know, you got the pressure from in-laws, siblings, our parents watching our every move, judging, perhaps. Rachel Fritz is a TEDx speaker. She is founder of Parenting on Mars and is here to help us navigate some of this pressure here. All right, so Rachel, will you run us through the dynamic here? What kind of happens? Why is it so difficult when other people are around?
Oh my gosh, it really is. Listen, I'm a mom of 3. I have been there, and having our most precious relationships and our most vulnerable parenting moments play out in front of others, especially our family, can be really challenging. But here's why I'm so passionate about this, right? So within our family's lineage, we are the parenting generation, right? We are creating our legacy for how we show up consistently for our kids at home, in front of others, out in public. So it's something that we really need to think about how we're showing up, and that's what I help parents do.
How do we avoid falling into the trap of comparing ourselves to other parents?
Oh, right. Absolutely. So comparison is normal. It's also the thief of joy, right? Yes. And so we think about comparing ourselves, but also comparing our children, maybe to their cousins, their siblings, maybe to ourselves when we were children. I can hear my mom being like, "You didn't act like that," right? how soon we forget.
Yeah.
Or even comparing our children to how they behaved yesterday.
Right.
But when we do that, we lose the opportunity to honor where they are right now in their experience, what's going on within the context with them internally, because behavior is communication, right? And so when we compare, we're missing out on being able to lead our children and also hopefully have a teachable moment. And what I would caution parents on the most here is making those comparisons known in front of your kids, because when kids hear themselves compared, the question they're left to answer is, well, then what's wrong with me? And that's something we want to avoid.
So you're urging us to quit, even if it's just an internal dialogue, because sometimes if my kids are melting down and their cousins are perfect, I'm like, oh no, oh no, no. So get out of that mindset and just focus on the child and what they're trying to communicate in that moment.
Sure, and acknowledge it, right? It's going to happen, but acknowledge that, what am I doing right now? I'm making this comparison. Take a beat and then hone into your child. When they're having a tough time, the world around them melts away. Right. So we want to try to have that tunnel vision too.
Any advice on how these gatherings are about to unfold, right? Everyone. How do we make it easier for our kids to kind of maybe prevent some of those moments from happening before they happen?
Absolutely. So something we don't always think about are transitions. So transitions are going from one activity to another, one location to another. And as much as we can limit those transitions or cut them down a bit, when kids hear a directive, it goes like in their ear to their brain, then they have to like make a plan to do it, mobilize their body. It's a lot. For adults, it can be a lot too. And so as much as you're able to kind of trim those back, and if it's impossible because the holidays are busy, we're all nuts, just be with them through those transitions. Be present, guide them through it. That'll help a lot.
That was one of the things that took me off guard as a parent, is just how hard it is to transition from one activity to another activity. You'd think it'd be, you know, oh, I get to do the next thing. No.
Yeah.
No.
They're locked in.
Caitlin, do you have a heart? Thank you so much, Rachel Fritz. Really appreciate your time and expertise as always. You are probably a master of transitioning your kids, Caitlin, from one thing to the next.
You know, knock on all things wood, I haven't really had that problem.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Mine are like, no, I don't want to leave. We're playing Legos right now, or I'm in the middle of a show.
I've seen it happen with other friends with their kids, so I understand, and it's hard. It's hard. All of it's hard. Come on. Let's talk about this weather, though, because speaking of hard, we have quite a transition ahead of us. Today, it is going to be mild as temperatures push into the 30s, but then a cold front swings through. We have the chance for snow tomorrow morning. And then we have brutally cold temperatures settling in for the weekend. So talking about our weather headlines, number one, we had some snow last night. Right now it's dry and quiet, but highs will be in the 30s today. This afternoon, specifically after 3 to 4 p.m., we're going to have some scattered showers out there, which could lead to some slick spots, especially north of the city. but then gusty and colder tomorrow after a cold front swings on through. So right now we are stepping out the door to 28 degrees at the lakefront in O'Hare, 31 in Joliet, 29 in Morris, and 32 at LaSalle. Our futurecast does show those highs pushing into the 30s. We're talking about this evening time frame hitting our high in the upper 30s. But when the wet weather starts, I wanted to pause it here at 3:45 because this is when we could start to see some slick roads, especially north of I-88, before we all get in on the rain as temperatures continue to climb, as mentioned, later on in the evening. And then tonight, that's when the snow will begin. So we're going to have that transition from rain over to snow as we start off our Wednesday. This is 6 a.m. Scattered snow showers. Temperatures still in the mid to upper 30s. It's going to be gusty tonight. Up to 40-mile-per-hour winds are possible. That's going to continue early tomorrow. So the snow that's falling could be blowing around, dropping visibility. Notice we still have some lake effect snow holding on even into the afternoon hours for northwest Indiana especially. But then the temperatures, they're going to be dropping as we work our way through Wednesday. So we're going to hit that peak early, and then that cold air starts to shift in through the rest of the day. 7-day forecast, temperatures only reaching 24 degrees on Thursday, Friday 27, with a few areas of snow around, especially on Friday. And then this weekend, brutally cold with overnight lows in the single digits, highs right around 13, both on Saturday and Sunday. Back to you.
Okay, it's Nutcracker season, and today we are talking about a version of the ballet unlike any other.
Gabriella Primus is live at the Hyde Park School of Dance, taking us behind the scenes for this very unique performance of the classic ballet. Gabby?
Hey, once you see this little bit of a sneak peek of what's going to be happening this weekend at Mandel Hall, you're going to want to see it. And just right off the bat, you got to get your tickets online, and you can get them right now. We'll post more information on our website. But I want to chat with Amber. She's our artistic director. How proud are you to know that it's almost here? The dancers have been working so hard. And how is this rendition of the Nutcracker different than some others that we see around the city?
Yeah, I'm so proud of all of the dancers. We've been working on this for 8 weeks, and so now this is the final stretch. We are so excited. I would say a little bit about what's different with our Nutcracker. We are trying to incorporate all of our styles of dance that we offer. So you'll see hip-hop. You'll also see, of course, our ballet. We have acro dance, African, and modern, and much more.
Okay, I love how the Nutcracker incorporates all ages of dancers, right? And that's no different here with Hyde Park School of Dance. How exciting is it even for the young ones to get in on the dancing?
Oh, I love it. So basically, they get to start when they're 7 years old, and then just seeing just how they progress all the way to 18 years old, and just how like the young ones get to see the older dancers just dance and like look up to them.
Okay, but Miss Amber, you also have been here for a while. You started as a dancer, and now you're artistic director. Tell me about how much this place means to you.
Yes, yes, I started here as a dancer. I got to do Nutcracker at the very theater at Mandel Hall. So I'm very excited just to see their growth and just like how I started and my growth and just seeing how they are as well.
Yeah, okay, we see a lot of support in Hyde Park because there was even banners on the street saying Hyde Park School of Dance. How much would it mean to you to see people from the north side, west side come over to Hyde Park this weekend to watch your performance?
Yes, we would love everybody around the Chicagoland area. We also have dancers that are around the Chicagoland area of like Oak Brook in Indiana, so we're excited to just bring all those audience members here as well.
Okay, these four have been waiting patiently. They've been doing a little bit of practicing, stretching, which is unbelievable. That's some of the stretches that they could do. What are we going to see a sneak peek of right now?
Yeah, so you're going to see a sneak peek of the Land of Snow. You'll see our Snow Queen and Snow King, Clara and Nutcracker.
Okay, let's let the dancers take it away. Thank you so much, Amber. Again, Hyde Park School of Dance presents the Nutcracker this weekend at Mandel Hall. You can find more information on our website, fox32chicago.com. Look under links you saw on TV.
It's beautiful and spectacular. I know they're going to be so proud of their work when it's finally on display for all to see.
Soothing.
Great to have a little preview
such
today.
talent.
Yeah.
Speaking of talent, look at this guy.
Always.
I was just looking at them going, what am I doing with my life? Like, look how talented. Like, in that 30-second moment, they had more talent than 30 years of career. All right, coming up, one of the most legendary filmmakers of all time gave Fox 32 his only Chicago interview, and we looked back at his most legendary movies and the beloved characters he's killed off. The deaths don't matter if we don't give a shit about them.
That's right, exactly. And I think a lot of films don't create those stakes for the audience. Anyway, I could talk for you. You opened up a can of whoop-ass on yourself with that one.
Well, I'm still feeling our Chicago exclusive interview with Oscar-winning director James Cameron ahead of the release of Avatar: Fire and Ash when Good Day Chicago returns.
Welcome back. A new sequel to one of the most successful movies of all time.
The most successful movie of all time. Number one.
Oh, my.
Number one. Avatar. I've never seen the light on this.
Legendary.
Really sorry. Yeah.
Oscar-winning director only spoke, of course, to one station, one reporter here, Fox 32, and, of course, Jake Hamilton.
Yeah, this is, to that point, actually, it's the Avatar movies are the first and third highest grossing, or fourth.
Wow.
Yeah. The first two earned a combined total of nearly $5.3 billion at the box office, and the highly anticipated third film in the series hits theaters next week. It's called Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Your goddess has no dominion here.
Now, when we last left off in the Avatar series, the Sully family was mourning the death of their oldest son. It's a loss that's really felt deeply through affects us.
You cannot live like this, baby. In
hate.
So much of this film is about the study of grief and how we deal with loss and with death. And because of you, I have had to grieve some of my favorite characters of all time. You've killed off some of my favorite humans, machines, animals, aliens. So I'm curious, if you were to line up all 9 of your films and watch them in order, what is the death that you would grieve the most? And do you grieve your characters when you decide that they should no longer be living?
Look, I've had a long time to process grief because I write the script, so I know Terminator's going to go into molten steel.
Do you grieve when you make that decision?
No, I don't think so, because you know, I'm trying to orchestrate to an audience reaction, and that's part of that orchestration.
I'm sorry.
No, it'll be okay. Stay with us. It'll be okay.
And let's say you love the character of young John Connor, Eddie Furlong, right? And you see the Terminator melting. You're with him. You're feeling something with him. If you can make an audience cry for a Terminator, that's the power of cinema.
I know now why you cry. But it's something I can never do.
So I never forgot that. And then obviously with Titanic, you know, I knew going in I was doing Romeo and Juliet or something in that, you know, realm of the star-crossed lovers. Somebody's going to die. And we know that it isn't Old Rose because she's telling the story.
Jack. There's a boat, Jack.
And so the question is, how do you orchestrate it so the audience feels what they're supposed to feel? And I think we've done that probably better than the first 2 Avatar films. I think we've done that on this film. I think the fact that Neteyam, the oldest son, dies, and we see the horror and the grief, especially with Neytiri, who just lets out this kind of primal wail, and it's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching for me to still watch that scene, and I've seen it 1,000 times. That gives us permission to, I think, really look at the consequences to a family of that kind of tragedy, and how do they find healing, and how do they find hope, and how do they go on with courage and with cohesion as a family, because that's the theme. If you hear that this movie's about death and grief, it's sending the wrong signal. This is a universal human experience, right? We all die, right? How do we deal with it? How do we process it? How do we go on?
The deaths don't matter if we don't give a shit about them.
That's right, exactly. And I think a lot of films don't create those stakes for the audience. Anyway, I could talk for you. You opened up a can of whoop-ass on yourself with that one.
Well, I'm still feeling trauma from the fire of I Know Now.
The Terminator going down, right?
It's July 3rd, I'm still feeling trauma. I cried in theaters as a kid. Seeing that Avatar Fire and Ash opens in theaters next week, Friday, December 19th.
Thank you for tiptoeing around the
FCC violation.
You like that? There were a few tips.
I got you. I got you.
When he said, you know, how to go on, all I was hearing was Celine Dion.
Oh, it's still that song, that James Horner score, and then when her voice cracks when she said, "There's a boat, Jack." It gets me. Look, we're getting the rap.
Let's cry in the break.
Yeah.
Patrick.
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago at 9 o'clock. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you this morning.
City of Chicago had a budget impasse now. Roseanne is going to be bringing us the status of the standoff, including a press conference from Mayor Brandon Johnson, which could start any moment now.
That's something they got to get figured out before the end of the month. Well, the Hyde Park School of Dance is taking us on a waltz through the land of the Sugar Plum Fairies. Gabriella will give us a preview of their production of the Nutcracker.
I love the Nutcracker and every version of it. There's a million. It's one of the most anticipated book-to-movie adaptations of 2026. The stars of People We Meet on Vacation are sitting down with Jake a little bit later on this hour.
We were just talking about vacation. No. But right now, let's check in with Caitlin for a look at the forecast. At least we're getting some sun, but that looks like just a sheet of ice out there next to the beam.
I think it's just very treated surface.
Okay.
I think it's just melted. It's probably a little wet. But we could see some ice develop later on today, actually. By this evening, for your drive home from work, especially north of Chicago, we could see some freezing rain. So it could impact your drive. But right now, it's actually quiet. We had some light snow move in overnight. Currently, you can see we have a few clouds around, but dry skies. Temperatures, they're on our side today. We are going to be climbing nicely. Right now, we're sitting at 29 degrees at the lakefront, 30 at O'Hare and Midway, freezing in Joliet, 25 in DeKalb, 32 at LaSalle. Feeling like we could be in the teens, though. So the feel like temperature is only 19 downtown. Make sure you dress warm. Our day planner has our temperatures right around freezing by lunchtime, and then by 2, we're at 33. These temperatures are going to continue to climb into the evening, but that's when the chance for wet weather returns. I'll show you the timeline of the wet weather in just a moment. First, though, talking about wind chill, we're going to feel like we could be in the mid-20s through the whole day, so make sure you have your jacket handy. Futurecast. So I mentioned that potential for some freezing rain. Well, if you take a look, this is 345, where you see the pink color, especially from Chicago points north. That's where we could see some icy conditions develop. South of the city, I do expect temperatures to be hovering at or just above freezing. But then we all get in on the warmer air as we continue on into the evening. And scattered rain is going to assist in melting throughout Chicagoland before more snow is on the way tomorrow. As we start the day, we're going to have snow showers and gusty winds. In fact, tonight we could see those winds climbing to about 40 miles per hour. Those gusts continue early tomorrow, so blowing snow means drops in visibility possible for your early morning commute on Wednesday. Temperatures during the day tomorrow are going to be heading in the wrong direction. In fact, we hit that peak in the morning, and then we're down to the 20s later on. Thursday's high, 24, 27 expected Friday with a little bit of snow around Thursday, Friday. This weekend, main headline, cold, as highs are going to be right around 13, both on Saturday and Sunday. Back to you.
Well, a budget impasse in Chicago may have the city headed for a government shutdown.
Roseanne has more on the standoff between the mayor and 26 alders.
Does this scenario sound familiar? Well, we have dealt with federal government shutdowns before, but this would be a first. If the two sides don't reach an agreement by the end of the year, city services could be put on pause. Both sides met over the weekend, but did not make any progress. Mayor Brandon Johnson continues pushing for his corporate head tax idea that he says primarily affects millionaires and billionaires. But those 26 alders call the head tax a job killer and say the budget also relies on risky borrowing that could send the city's credit rating plummeting. They're looking for compromises and offered up doubling the garbage collection fee and some other ideas, but Mayor Johnson wasn't swayed.
I'm always open to negotiate details and to find compromises along the way, but, doubling the garbage fee, collecting a, grocery tax and some of the other regressive ideas that have been put forward, this budget, cannot reflect the sins of the past.
Alderwoman Samantha Nugent wrote to her fellow council members, we cannot be a partner to a budget that will push Chicago over a financial cliff and wreak havoc on taxpayers of today and tomorrow. Now, the mayor is holding his standing news briefing any moment, and we will have a chance to ask him if there's any compromise on the table. At City Hall, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32, Chicago.
And we're going to try to bring you that news conference just as soon as it begins live. This morning, though, a man is also facing several charges, including attempted murder after a shooting involving Chicago police.
This all happened Sunday morning near 114th and South Duval in the Morgan Park neighborhood. Police responded to a group involved in an altercation. Now, when they tried to separate the group, someone's gun discharged. An officer was hit in the protective vest, and an 18-year-old was also hit. After that, a second officer returned fire. 35-year-old Darren Brewster is now facing multiple felony charges. And also new this morning, the Skokie Fire Department responds to a fire at an apartment building overnight. Crews were seen looking inside of an apartment. That building is located on Bronx Place. One witness says that the fire was in an apartment on the 3rd floor and residents were frantic.
I started hearing like people running within the hallways of my building, people knocking, banging on doors, screaming.
We're still working to gather more details about any injuries or learn exactly how that fire started.
New this morning, the Trump administration is threatening to pull funding for the CTA. The Federal Transit Administration wants more officers at stations and on trains. It's all because of concerns around crime. The directive follows the attack on the Blue Line last month, where a woman was set on fire. The suspect had a long criminal history and had more than 70 arrests. In letters to Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker, FTA Administrator Mark Molinaro states that it is the responsibility of leaders at every level to create a safe system for riders and workers on transit and accuse them of neglecting that responsibility. He says they'll withhold funding if they don't address the issue by the end of the month. Now, we reached out to CTA. They tell us that they have received the document and will respond within that time frame. This is, of course, just the latest incident in the ongoing battle between the White House and local and state leaders, including the Trump administration's attempt to send the National Guard to Chicago to deal with crime. In October, the Department of Transportation froze $2.1 billion in funds for the extension of the CTA Red Line. The agency said that it needed to ensure the money wasn't coming from race-based contracting. Rules established years ago require CTA to give contracts to minority and woman-owned businesses. Well, the government says those rules are a form of discrimination.
There are also concerns that immigration enforcement activity will keep worshipers from celebrating the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The largest gathering of its kind here in the U.S. is held in Des Plaines. Celebrations are planned for Thursday and Friday. Typically, hundreds of thousands of people take part in the festivities over the course of several days. Now, although Operation Midway Blitz has largely fallen quiet, there are still federal agents in both the city and suburbs. Worshipers talked about what makes each year so special to them.
It's a feeling it's unbelievable. You know, I can go to church, which is good, you know, but when I come over here, it's so strong. I went to visit my wife, of course, she's over in the cemetery next to us, right? You know, I gotta remember everybody that's up in heaven today, so it's a special day for me.
No politics, no cold weather, nothing's gonna stop us from coming to see her and thanking her for all her good deeds.
All of the shrine's masses and festivities will be live streamed so that those who are not comfortable attending in person or aren't able to make it will still be able to take part. Across state lines in Indiana, a state Senate committee is advancing redistricting legislation. It will now head to the full Senate for a floor vote later this week. It is backed by President Trump and is designed to net Republicans 2 seats in next year's midterm elections. The State House passed it last week. Well, Chicago Bears now preparing for their next game after that loss to the Packers on Sunday.
Yeah, it was hard looking at that guy with the Green Bay Packers hat on. Yeah. He was talking about a very serious subject, though. They will return home to host the Browns on this Sunday. Sunday's game against the Packers was a tale of 2 halves, really. They finally found a rhythm in the second half, scoring on 3 straight drives, erasing an 11-point deficit, which says we have the talent. We are going in the right direction. But despite the loss to the Packers, ESPN's Mike Greenberg believes the Bears are trending in the right direction under Ben Johnson.
I think Caleb Williams and the entire Bears team, for that matter, are light years ahead of schedule. And I emerged feeling better about them than I did before the game began. I felt better about the Bears and their prognosis, both short-term and long, after losing that game than I felt before it started. The play at the very end, I think, is just a bad throw. That's a play that he probably should have made. I think Caleb Williams is on the verge of being an absolute superstar.
I mean, it's got to be great to hear that, but I know at the end of the day, you want a win. Sunday's game against Cleveland kicks off at noon, and you can see it right here on Fox 32, your home of the Bears. It'll be a very interesting game to see.
Yes.
Caleb up against Shador, now that he's been named their starting QB.
Yeah, and looking at Caleb's 7-day forecast, speaking, a high of 13 degrees on Sunday. So if you're going to the game, start bundling up right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold out there.
I think that most folks who are at the game have a lot to warm them up, but before the game and during the game as well. Yeah, all right. A special program in Bolingbrook is lending a hand to neighbors in need. We're talking to the organizers behind the Snow Angel program a little later this hour.
And with it being the season of giving, Fox 32 Chicago and PNC Bank and the Bears are all teaming up with the Greater Chicago Food Depository to help feed local families in need. Every dollar you give now will triple to provide 9 meals. You can help out by going online to chicagosfoodbank.org. We'll be right back.
1 year in.
.912, and he's one of several fugitives on the division's most wanted list.
Our Dane Placco explains why they're now offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to his arrest.
You can call him Bird or Little Bird, but his real name is Gary Llewellyn. He's wanted by FBI Chicago for his part in a violent carjacking spree that happened in early 2023.
I have almost 14 years experience working violent crimes, and this case really stood out to me. One, the brazenness, middle of the day, public areas, shopping centers, gas stations, the use of real firearms, the use of firearms with extended magazines, with switches that make them automatic weapons.
Special Agent Dustin Gorley is the acting supervisor for FBI Chicago's Violent Crime Fugitive Task Force.
These individuals would pull up and point firearms directly at their victims, make verbal threats to harm them, and point the firearm literally directly at these victims. So incredibly scary, incredibly violent.
Gorley says Llewellyn is one of 4 men charged with committing a string of 4 carjackings. 3 of them took place on Chicago's South Side, 1 in Dalton. While his co-defendants have been arrested, Llewellyn is still on the run.
He's charged with multiple counts of carjacking, multiple counts of violating the Hobbs Act, which is essentially the federal armed robbery statute, as well as brandishing a firearm during a felony offense.
Agents say Llewellyn is originally from the Calumet Park area and has family in Chicago and the south suburbs. Despite being on the run for the last 2 years, and with only a few tips to go on, they still believe he's in the Chicago area.
So now we're coming to the public and say, please help us. We could use your help. We need everyone's help. The goal of this is to take him into custody safely, and that's our priority for his safety and for our safety.
Investigators would like you to take a good look at Gary Llewellyn's photo again. He's described as a black male, 24 years old, about 6 feet tall, weighing around 160 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. And he is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, call police. Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
Well, time is now 9:15 this morning. Luigi Mangione is back in court this week with the pretrial hearing to determine what jurors will not see when that trial starts.
Been really interesting to see what his attorneys are trying to get thrown out. The evidence being shown centers around Mangione's arrest at a Pennsylvania McDonald's days after the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City. Now, the court showed photos of items Mangione had in his backpack, like clothes, USB drives, and a bus ticket to Pittsburgh. Police also found a loaded handgun in the backpack. Mangione faces 9 state charges, including second-degree murder, and could face the death penalty in a separate federal case.
Miami Heat point guard Terry Rozier appeared in a Brooklyn federal court for his arraignment. The 31-year-old pleaded not guilty to charges that he helped gamblers place bets on his performance in games. So far, more than 30 people have been arrested in the federal investigation of illegal gambling operations allegedly linked to professional sports.
Democrat Jasmine Crockett launching her campaign for the U.S. Senate in the state of Texas. The 2-term congresswoman will face another rising Democratic star, James Tallarico, in the primary. While polls say that it will be an uphill battle, of course, Democrats believe they have a real chance at flipping the seat held by Republican John Cornyn, who is running for re-election.
Well, he is open for Patti LaBelle and worked in TV with both Jamie Foxx and Jim Carrey. The one and only Tommy Davidson joins us ahead of his shows this weekend at the Chicago Improv. Plus, the longest-serving chief usher at the White House pens a new book telling us all about some of the real personalities of the first families and the untold stories of 7 different presidents. All that and much more starting next hour on Chicago Now.
That should be good. And the Chicago Bears hosting their 37th annual Coat Drive. The Bears, along with Jewel Osco, the Salvation Army, and Sherway Movers, are asking for your coat donations. Just drop them off at participating Jewel Oscos now through February 16th. You can find more information online at chicagobears.com/coat drive. We'll be right back.
Right now, Mayor Brandon Johnson is holding a press conference.
It comes as the mayor finds himself in a standoff with 26 alders over the city budget. Let's just listen in to what he has to say here.
Continue to drive violence down in the city of Chicago, ensuring that our community violence intervention workers are supported, that we can continue our youth employment and diversion programs, services for survivors of domestic violence and gender-based violence, and of course, mental health care for our first responders. What types of companies would this impact? Well, we're talking about the largest corporations, of course, in the city. We are not talking about your local retail shops, however. We are not talking about your mom and pop restaurants. We are talking about the companies who have done exceedingly well in this current economic climate. Some of these names you might recognize: JP Morgan, Walmart, Accenture. JP Morgan, for example, brought in $57 billion in profit last year. And keep in mind, you all, they received $11 billion in additional profit from the 2024 Trump tax breaks, which, as I've been saying, was the largest upward transfer of wealth in our nation's history. We're talking about banks like Citigroup, which made $11 billion last year, and companies like Mondelez, the world's largest snack company, reaching more than 150 countries. Don't misunderstand me. We are certainly proud of Chicago and Chicago being home to many of these world-renowned powerhouse companies. But $30 a month is not going to change their bottom line. What they prioritize is a talent pool, which Chicago certainly has. But to attract more people, we need to continue to drive crime and violence down. Our work is nowhere near from being complete. If we look at a company like Bank of America, for example, they made $27 billion in profit last year, an additional $4 billion from the Trump tax cuts. The community safety surcharge would account for roughly 0.0008% of their annual revenue. That's less than 1,000%. Another myth that we need to dispel is the idea that this would be a, quote, job killer, unquote. Let's remember, you all, we had this tax in place for more than 40 years. When you ask what city has this worked in, well, it worked in Chicago, and we know that it can work again. When we look at Chicago employment trends over time on the chart on the left, we see that Chicago's employment trends track closely with the national changes in employment over the past 35 years. When employment goes up nationally, it certainly goes up in Chicago. When it falls nationally, it also falls in Chicago. We do not find a sustained explosion, we do not, again, find a sustained explosion in jobs after the repeal. In fact, it is difficult to tell where on this chart the repeal even happens because the trend remains constant. On the right, we see Chicago's comparative employment growth over the national average for the past 20 years. What you'll see is the period while we still had the corporate head tax had stronger job growth compared to the national average than the periods after repeal.
Okay, we've been listening in there to Mayor Johnson as he continues to make his case for the corporate head tax that is in his proposed budget to close the $1.1 billion budget gap in the city. Right now, there are 26 alders who are fully against that plan. They have made the case themselves that it is a job killer, as he was just mentioning there, and that the corporate entities would have to leave this area if they ended up having to pay these fees. But what the mayor is saying here is, and making some graphics in terms of how many employees this would actually affect, and what the bottom line would be for these businesses, how it would affect that. He's saying that it's just 0.0008% of their bottom line in the end of the day. So again, they have to complete their budget by the end of the month, or we'll have a government shutdown essentially for the city. But they still have a lot of work to do. We'll continue to follow it all. Roseanne is there. Let's talk a little bit more about the weather outside, though, because even right now, it looks a little less sunny than it did just an hour ago. Caitlin?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Kind of a gray shot there. It is going to be a quiet start. The highlight of today is going to be the temperatures. We've been talking about it all morning. The big difference between yesterday and this morning, 10 to 20 degrees warmer, but it's going to feel like we could be a touch cooler. This morning, the feel like temperatures in the teens, but by this afternoon, as we push into the 30s, it's going to feel like we could be in the mid-20s. Now, we do have some wet weather on the way, including the potential for some slick roads, some freezing rain possible north of Chicago, especially this evening. And then it gets gusty and colder tomorrow. We also have the chance for snow to start off your Wednesday. Temperatures outside right now are ranging in the 20s and 30s. It's 30 at the lakefront as well as Midway and O'Hare, 27 in Aurora, 31 in Merrillville. Here's your futurecast. Let's take you through your day. I mentioned how temperatures are going to be more mild. We are going to be hovering around freezing, if not just above, as we work our way into this afternoon, 3:45. And that's why some locations north of the city could be seeing some freezing rain, because notice these temperatures are a little bit colder the farther north you go, especially north of I-88. South of Chicago, that's where we're in the mid-30s, and temperatures are going to continue to climb as we get into the later part of the evening. And that's why you're seeing that mix disappear and turn over to all rain showers. Then tomorrow, we start off the day with some snow. It's going to be gusty, I mentioned, so the snow is going to be blowing around tomorrow morning. We could see drops in visibility. Temperatures in the low 30s at lunchtime tomorrow, and we still have the potential for some lake effect snow, especially in northwest Indiana, even into the afternoon. Then the temperatures continue to drop. We're going to have a cold end to the week, but an even colder weekend ahead. If you missed it, here's your 7-day forecast. 34 tomorrow. Again, that's early in the day. In the afternoon, we're going to be in the 20s. 24 is our high on Thursday, Friday, 27. And then this weekend, that's when our highs are going to be right around 13 degrees, lows in the single digits. So brutally cold temperatures are on the way this weekend. We have the chance for some snow around on Thursday, Friday, even into Saturday. Sunday's looking dry, but brutally cold, as mentioned. 2 is our morning low. That wind chill could approach 15 to 20 degrees below zero. And then we start off next week with the low to mid-20s with the chance for mixed precipitation. We have a few photos to share with you. This first one, yeah. Brian, it almost doesn't look real, right?
Right.
The sun beams, Ted, wow. Sunset over Hoffman Estates, and you can see the icicles. It looks cold, but I gotta say, these winter pictures are gorgeous.
That is pretty.
Especially with the clear skies, yeah. And then this is the afternoon sky over Chesterton, Indiana from Kathy Abretsky. We've got a few clouds out there.
Those
but
clouds almost look like mountains in the
they
background.
do, don't they? Yeah, I wonder where you are, Kathy. I love Chesterton, it's darling. Okay, we have one more picture for you, video, excuse me.
Icicles.
Hungry finches, ooh, and killdeer from Eric. I love this. Look at the finch. Okay, so what are you feeding them? Let me look. Oh, okay, so I see. The seeds are in that middle tube there.
They're like making their way through the icicles to get them.
Look at that!
There's a ton of them in there, too.
They're holding on to the icicles. Oh, wait, this is really cute. Look at that. That's so fun. Eric, thank you. Look at those little birdies enjoying their little winter snack there, Brian.
Right. Well, in Bolingbrook, some local residents are coming together to help their neighbors this holiday season. Bolingbrook Village trustee Michael Carpenzano is here to tell us all about their Snow Angel program. Good morning and thanks for being here.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you for hosting us.
So what prompted the creation of the Snow Angels program, and how exactly does this work?
Yeah, so back in 2022, as you can imagine, residents running into issues, particularly our senior residents and residents with disabilities, said, hey, I can't afford snow removal. I don't have family. I don't have friends. What can I do? So a group of residents got together, formed an initiative to say, let's start a Snow Angel program where residents help other neighbors by signing up to volunteer and shovel each other's snow during snowstorms.
That looks cool. We're seeing some of the pictures now of some of these snow angels. Now, some of these seniors, they don't get a ton of visitors. You mentioned some of them may not have friends and family. So how is this more than just removing snow? How is it helping build the Bolingbrook community and come together?
Yeah, so it's been really neat and some heartfelt stories of true gratitude. You know, as you can imagine, the cost of snow removal is not cheap. So when a senior finds out that there's a free program that they can sign up to where someone down the block is going to come over, shovel their driveway, shovel their sidewalks so kids can, you know, walk to the school bus stop and they don't have to feel guilty about their house being the only house on the block not shoveled. They're truly grateful for these true snow heroes, snow angels that have volunteered in this program.
And even outside of some of these seniors and those with disabilities, what does this mean for maybe even the mail carriers or even kids walking to school in the morning, because they can be really icy out there?
Yeah, like I said, there could be a lot of guilt there and safety concerns. So this allows a senior who normally would never be able to clear the property to have a hero come by, usually after the storm stops, and they come by, they shovel that off. We try to use like a 2-inch guideline on snow. This way the hero doesn't have to come by every single dusting. But for this snow season, that's been often. So.
Hey, Michael, what are some of the steps that somebody wants to request this service, or maybe is even looking to volunteer like some of the pictures we just showed?
That'd be great. Either way, right now, currently, I'll be honest, demand for snow heroes is outpacing the supply of volunteers. However, interested residents can visit bolingbrook-events.com. They can click the Snow Angel tab, and there they can either sign up to receive a snow angel, or if they're interested in volunteering, they can sign up to volunteer, and trust me, there will be a match, because currently there is more demand than there is supply of volunteers.
And there's plenty of snow for these snow angels to move out the way as well. Michael, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, time is now 9:31. We got much more to come this morning here on Good Day Chicago, including lending a hand. Fox 32 is proud to support iHeartMedia and Lurie Children's Radiothon for another year. Your support helps fund research, support families, and provide some much-needed care to some of the children in our community. You don't have to wait until Thursday to donate. You can just text Lurie to 34984, or you can scan that QR code right there on your screen. And make sure to join us live on Thursday for the Radiothon. We'll be right back.
Stream.
Welcome back. Time now 9:34. Still some leftover snow out there just outside of our studios right at Lake Michigan. This morning, bundle up, Chicago. It is cold, but it's still a lot warmer than what's going to be later on this week.
So while it's cold outside, you might want to go in and see visions of sugar plums dancing through our heads all morning. Thanks to our next story.
Our Gabriella Primus is giving us another preview of the Hyde Park School of Dance production, The Nutcracker.
Okay, your weekend plans are set. You're going to go to Mandel Hall for the rendition of The Nutcracker by Hyde Park School of Dance. I'm talking with Amber. You are artistic director. Okay, we have all the dancers behind us getting ready for a big scene. But first, tell us how your rendition of The Nutcracker is a little different than other we see in the city.
Yeah, so our battle scene, we don't use our swords. We're not fighting as much, so we are actually doing a dance battle. So we have our break dancers, and then we have our studio hip-hop, which are more commercial hip-hop dancers.
Okay, since I've been at Hyde Park School of Dance, I'm seeing a lot of different age groups, right? We see some little ones in this group. We see some, older adults. Is that what kind of makes this performance a little extra special?
Yeah, so we have students in the Nutcracker starting at the age of 7, and then we have all the way up to adults. So we have Drosselmeyer, and then we have the entire adult party scene as well.
Okay, how much would it mean to you to see not only everyone in Hyde Park, but coming from the north side, west side, come this weekend to Mandel Hall and watch your performance?
Yes, we would love everyone to come, and especially we have a lot of students that are around the Chicagoland area, like Oak Brook, Indiana, so we would love everyone to come on by.
Okay, without further ado, we have to show off the talents. All right, dancers, you guys can take it away. Hyde Park School of Dance presents the Nutcracker, happening this weekend at Mandel Hall. You can get your information on our website, fox32chicago.com. Just look under links you saw on Fox 32.
9:40 right now. Wine can be a great gift for the holidays, but how do you find the right one for the right family member or friend this holiday season? That's always a question, you know. Liz Barrett, a certified wine specialist, is here with some suggestions this morning. What's in that bottle?
Yes, that's my site, what'sinthatbottle.com, so you can find all the stuff we're going to talk about is there.
Okay, get us in the know. Do wines have a personality?
Well, I think they do, for sure. And we're going to talk about a few because we've got 4 wines today that I have picked out for gifting certain people on your list. Sometimes they're the most difficult people to buy for, I think. We're ready to start?
Let's start. Where do we start?
We are going to start with Zardetto Prosecco.
All right.
And this is one of the oldest Prosecco brands that there's been. They kind of introduced the category to the U.S. back in the 80s. It is from the Prosecco region of northern Italy, of course. It is bright and bouncy and citrusy. And you know what? It's great for, like, your best friend, your dog walker, your kid's teacher, your hairstylist. Like, it's $14 or $15. It definitely over-delivers for the price. You can find it at Binny's. I just think, you know, like, buy a case and buy some little organza wine bags.
That's good.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally just, it's a crowd pleaser of a wine. And I call it, like, the one person fits all wine because everybody would love.
Your brunch girlfriends?
Exactly.
This is it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to your best friend. We've got Bodegas Garzón from Uruguay. Most people know Garzón for their Tannat, their big Uruguayan red wine. That's fantastic. But Uruguay is turning out some beautiful white wines these days. And Bodegas Garzón has one of the largest holdings of Albarino, which is typically coming from Spain, maybe Portugal. And this is a still white wine that I feel like it hits right between Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay.
I can definitely smell, like, it. When I'm smelling it, I'm like, oh, it smells like a Sauvignon. But
yeah, it doesn't have that green herbaceous note that some people don't like so much. And it doesn't have, you know, the big oaky, buttery thing that Chardonnay. It's a
very smooth.
Beautiful, smooth, crisp, white wine that, you know, and I think it's really interesting that the land that formerly known as red is turning out these gorgeous white wines. And so I say that this is a wine as fun and interesting as your friends.
Diversifying their portfolio. I like it. Okay. And I love this. Can people buy that as well?
You know what? People give me these things. I think you can find it at, like, World Market or, you know, something like that. And this is about $18 also at Binny's.
When you're gifting, those are the cute little add-ons.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, this wine is super cool. La Bouche du Roi.
La Bouche.
In French means mouth of the king. And this, I know, fancy. This wine comes from vineyards that were just recently replanted 10 years ago on the plains of Versailles, which, of course, used to be the royal palace of King Louis. So Adrien Pellissier is the one who got permission to plant on these sort of hallowed grounds, and he planted. It's a new AOC, he's getting the approval for the new appellation, and he planted there what thrives there. So it's a mix of Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Chenin Blanc, Cabernet Franc. This is the Pinot Noir.
Yeah, it's a light type of red.
It's a light-bodied red wine, but it's got so much character. I think this is awesome for in-laws. Because you need to...
Wait, in-laws that you like or in-laws that you're obligated to get a gift for?
You know, either one. It's going to impress because, like I say, like, if it was good enough for King Louis, it is good enough for the in-laws, and it pairs well with everything. It's about $50. You can get it at Binny's. You can get it at Hinsdale Wine Shop. I just think it's such a fun... The story behind it is just fascinating, and the wines are beautiful.
All right, if you want the in-laws to feel like kings and queens. All right, one more.
One more. Okay, we've got Zanato's Amarone della Valpolicella. This is perfect for the boss because you need to leave an impression. You want to be memorable. Valpolicella, or Amarone famously, is made from dried grapes. So the Zanato family has been making wine for over 60 years. In northern Italy is where this is from, in the Veneto region. They pick the grapes, and then they put them in these baskets, and they dry the grapes for months and months before they ferment, which adds all of this depth and complexity. And it's about $70. It's at Binny's. I guarantee you, if you give this to your boss, you're going to leave an impression.
Oh, you know what? If it's 70, you might want to give this to the in-laws. If they, you know, sometimes they want to look stuff up just to make sure you value them, you know?
Anyone would love any of these four, I
They're
think.
all fantastic. I sit slow because I got a long day, but thank you so much for being here. We love having you here. We love your energy. 9:45, though, let's send it over to Jake. No, Jake, there's
know
none
where
left
my
for
desk
you.
is. Just my desk is right. Just leave it. Just leave it. Coming up, guys, it's an insanely popular book that's been turned into your next Netflix obsession. The new romantic comedy, People We Meet on Vacation, is about to hit Netflix. But before it does, the stars are live in studio. We'll tell you more when Good Day Chicago returns.
Brandon Johnson.
On vacation, you can be anyone you want.
Who wants to go skinny dipping?
Alex does not.
Maybe vacation Alex does.
That's why I want to travel. You can actually be who you want to be instead of who they say you are.
How about every summer, wherever we are, we meet somewhere in the world for a trip?
Deal.
People We Meet on Vacation is a wildly popular New York Times best-selling novel, and now it is about to become your next great Netflix obsession. The film has been adapted into a truly fantastic new romantic comedy, starts streaming January 9th. And the reason the movie is so great is because of the incredible performances and the chemistry of our next guest actors. Emily Bader, Tom Blythe joining us live in studio. Guys, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having
us. Of course. So this is kind of a big question to start out with, but I've always wanted to know, obviously, this movie works because you guys are so great together, but is there ever that risk, that fear as an actor, maybe before you guys meet each other, like, what if I don't like him? What if I don't like her? Like, what happens if you guys don't like each other?
It would either be really bad or really good, I think, you know?
I mean, there's always the risk of it. But I guess we were talking the other day, we were joking that, you know, there's also those movies that we've all heard of where the actors famously hated each other and the chemistry was incredible. So
I've done some of those junkets, man.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
You know.
But I'll tell you, it's much easier and more pleasant of an experience.
Way better.
To get along.
And honestly, you can just tell off of this, but honestly, it really does translate to the screen. This movie touches on something that I truly, genuinely believe in, that you don't really know someone until you take a trip with them. My girlfriend and I took our first trip together like 2 months ago, and it solidified everything. I was like, okay, we're good now. You guys not only traveled for this film, but you also have been on the road on kind of a press tour for this. What is the most interesting thing you've learned about the person sitting next to you only because you've traveled with them?
That's such a good question. I think I've learned that you and I are kind of similar travelers, to be fair. We like to go with the flow. Like, we're both way more poppy than Alex in our personal life.
Interesting. Yeah. See, I'm a little more, like, I want to see my gate 3 hours in advance, and I want to know it's there.
I'm like half an hour before the flight takes off.
That gives me so much anxiety.
I think we're both definitely like no itinerary, go with the flow, kind of see where the wind takes us, kind of travelers in that way.
I love that one of the first things that Poppy does when we meet her is she hooks up her auxiliary and plays, what's the Paula Abdul song, Forever Your Girl? What is her most interesting pop culture love that there's a part of you that goes, really? Like
Emily's.
Emily, you love that song? You love that movie?
I don't know about music, but the first thing that comes to mind is her love for Lord of the Rings.
Are you a Lord of the Rings fan?
Yeah, we both share that.
It was constant just sending like memes back and forth of Lord of the Rings the entire process of this. I'm a huge fantasy nerd in pretty much every way. Yeah.
You want to work here? You guys would get along with everybody.
Should we work here?
Have you ever seen, there's a series that's great called The Hunger Games.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
It's really great. I've heard there was a prequel out last year that was...
With some cool blonde guy.
Yeah, blonde, yeah. You know, speaking of books that people love, whether it be Lord of the Rings or this book, this is one of those books that means so much to people, and people get afraid when there are adaptations, right? Because you don't want to see your favorite book screwed up on screen. What is the most intense, passionate message you guys got from fans about basically saying, do not screw this book up?
They've all been really supportive.
Yeah?
Yeah, really. I mean, we keep remarking on how just lovely and energetic and kind of supportive they've been the whole time. And I don't know, like, you always have the fear of, like, are we going to do them right? Are they going to feel like we did it justice? And they've been nothing but lovely. We were at a screening last night.
You're right here in Chicago?
Yeah, in Chicago. Yeah. And lots of local fans. And they were just so lovely, right?
Yeah, I think, you know, as long as... Once the sort of announcement of us being cast came out, we got a little taste of a reaction, and they were so supportive and kind of entrusting to both of us. And so I think that, you know, inspires, you know, us as actors to really want to make them happy. So hopefully we did that.
Yeah. Trust me, if the Chicago people didn't like you, you would know. They would have told you. You know, this movie very much reminds me of, you know, I grew up in the 90s when we had Tom Hanks and we had Meg Ryan. And as a kid growing up, sort of my perception of love was based on Sleepless in Seattle and Notting Hill and You've Got Mail. I'd love to know, growing up, what were the life lessons maybe about love that you guys learned from rom-coms? Because I see a movie like this and I'm like, oh my God, these are the movies that I loved growing up as a kid.
Well, it's so interesting. What life lessons? I mean, I feel like an ongoing theme is sort of, I don't want to say compromise, even though that is part of it, but it's sort of choosing to change parts of yourself to improve yourself for the other person, rather than having someone change you. Like someone who inspires you to change.
That's a good answer.
So good.
For 9:53 in the morning?
I've just, the first
That was a brilliant answer. Tom, what do you got, man?
How can I follow that?
Well, you're an actor. You got this.
She keeps doing this. She keeps bringing these zingers, and then I'm like, well, now I'm going to come up with...
the camera pushes in real tight.
I'm going to say something stupid, and everyone's going to be like... Life lessons? Oh, God, I don't know. I don't know. Keeping on the Lord of the Rings theme while we're talking about it, because I just rewatched it. I feel like you know, Frodo.
Wait, which one did you watch? The whole trilogy?
No, I just watched the first one again. Frodo and Sam.
Fellowship's my favorite.
I feel like I don't know, like films like that, they kind of, and films like this remind you of like just like loyalty and like friendship first, and like love can come out of friendship, and I think out of love, what you want most is a kind of a companion by your side, someone who knows you deeply, you know.
I love that. Yeah. All right, between the two of you, who's Frodo and who's Sam?
Oh. I'm a caretaker type. I think I'm more of a Sam.
I was going to say Sam as well.
Aw.
We're just both.
I love that. Right now, Netflix is going for the love of God. Stop talking about Lord of the Rings. We're talking about Lord of the Rings. All right, People We Meet on Vacation is start streaming on Netflix July 9th. Guys, enjoy your time in Chicago. We love you. Congratulations. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Fox.
All right, we are seconds away from Chicago now. Jam-packed hour. We got comedian Tommy Davidson joining us to talk about his special 3-night engagement at the Chicago Improv. Don't forget about your pets this holiday season. All that and more coming up.
Get